function of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are taking a look at this case from a psychological perspective.
Again, this goes generally. Anyone who files a defamation claim is inviting a defendant to say, well, A, it's true, it's what I believe, and the reason I believe it is this, this, and that. And it invites lawyers to challenge the plaintiffs and confront them.
How long would it take to, get sick? Or how long would it take to die?
Massachusetts State Trooper Brian Tully is about to be deposed under oath on May 7th.
The Commonwealth retried Reed, and on June 18th of 2025, the jury convicted Reed of driving under the influence of alcohol, but concluded that the Commonwealth failed to prove Reed's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt on the remaining charges. Right, and that's going to be a big hurdle for them in this case.
And nobody wanted to know what was going on in that house. Nobody wanted to point the fingers at Brian Albert. Nobody wanted any part of that. And do you blame them?
It is completely reasonable to believe it happened. And if it's reasonable to believe it happened, it's more than reasonable to believe that they plotted to murder John O'Keefe, isn't it? So that is a perfectly normal mainstream position to have. And you know who else is going to believe that? A jury.
Which one of them is going to, put handcuffs on Brian Albert?
Hey, judge, whatever. Look at the crowd behind me. They're like this. These people aren't here because they brainwashed them. They're here because they read the court filings and they saw what was happening and they saw the autopsy photos. So what are they thinking? Who's funding this shit?
Now imagine that you're Julie Nagel or you're Sarah Levinson. You think that those two are going to do it? And why? Why would you? Look at who the police are. Who are you going to call?
Who's funding? Whose idea is this to do? I mean, I dared them to sue me for so long. They finally, on the 3-year anniversary, by the way, because you only have 3 years to sue for defamation. They sued on the final day that they could.
All they do is talk to each other. So of course, Brian Albert thinks he's going to get away with this. Of course, they think they can file a lawsuit and just make it all go away.
Carrie Roberts, welcome to Note My Objection.
Thank you for having me.
There she is, the Princess of Canton, Carrie Roberts. She sat down for an interview with someone I never heard of. Let's watch.
July. I did not intentionally.
And if they spend enough time with idiots like Carrie Roberts and the girls from, oh my God, Carrie did that.
As an attorney, it was persuasive even to somebody like me.
Spend enough time with people that just are that stupid.
The overwhelming amount of evidence it's insane.
Then you start to become more and more emboldened.
If they had something to hide for this long, don't you think they'd be like, get her out of this group? Brian Albert was eating lunch and some woman got on a megaphone and was calling him a murderer.
We got Brian Albert sitting in the front, cop killer.
And these aren't like Walmart lawyers. This isn't like Meredith's lawyer at the restraining order.
Your client just took the stand and admitted to one-way recording.
Whoops. Uh-oh, that ain't good. It looks like Turtle Boy's ex-girlfriend here just admitted to the court to illegally recording a phone conversation between the two.
So you're doing cocaine with Mr. Kearney's friend?
Because she brought it.
Have not gotten the justice they deserve. What this DA's office needs is wholesale, cultural, systemic change.
Nah, Lally and the crew are doing just fine.
There she is.
Oh, I'm so sick.
Gotcha. Okay, so your sister...
My sister Jillian, yes.
Oh, it's funny.
That entire section of this file is not a genuine dash cam recording.
You have to buy that.
Here!
So, you have to buy that.
Here!
So...
And showing solidarity, you can see them there.
It's about getting justice for John O'Keefe. There clearly is an issue of integrity.
How dare they? Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday nooner. This is the I Don't Belong Here show, and I am your host, Samantha Benigno, and here is my co-host for our Monday Nooner, Mr. Loophole Lawyer. Hello.
Well, good afternoon. It's a big day. I hear you got a big guest coming in.
We got a big guest coming in. Very exciting. Super excited to get to speak to Aidan Kearney today in just a little bit. Yeah, I mean, where to begin, right? What a crazy couple of days it's been. What are your thoughts? What are your opening thoughts about this big civil suit against Karen and Aiden?
Remind us again who Aiden is.
Oh, right. You know, Turtle Boy. Hopefully everybody knows who Turtle Boy is. Yeah.
It's interesting. And you're hearing a lot of attorneys give their opinions, as we did. And I'm also seeing a lot of law tubers putting out disclaimers now that this is their opinion. It's not fact. I don't know who I'm talking about, but it seems to be that it did shake up people a little bit. And it is scary to be sued. Now, I have filed thousands of lawsuits, but I've been sued personally myself. And you always have to take it seriously when there's no insurance policy, most likely, and you could technically lose almost all your assets if a jury awards against you. So you have to be careful with this. And one thing you learn from going through this, and I had to learn this the hard way, is you have to make sure that your assets are protected when you're in an occupation for which you're likely to be sued, so that when you are sued and if you lost and there's a judgment against you, it's very hard for them to collect any money, if any at all.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm sure, I have to believe that Aiden, has thought about all of that. I mean, this is not a surprise. This is something that could have come at any point over the last 3-4 years, but also he's been sued for defamation already a number of times, I believe. I don't think any of those cases amounted to anything, but this case is interesting, right? So you're right. I think it definitely shook things up a little bit, or just made people shook, right? It was a little bit of a tidal wave. None of it's surprising, though. Like, when I stop and I think about, first of all, who the four people are, the fact that it is Jen, Colin, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins, that made perfect sense. Those are the four biggest targets of all the criticisms. They certainly have, at least from what we can tell based on their behavior, just what we've seen from Colin, the little we know about how he's doing from either Chris Albert or just any other personal experiences people have had with him, the fact that he dropped out of college, it definitely appears like Colin is kind of held up, if you will, and has been traumatized by this. That, I think, is pretty clear, actually. And I will say, if I feel for anybody, I said this in my rant a few days ago, but if I feel for anybody, it's Colin, because Colin really didn't have a choice. Like, Colin was not an independent thinker. Whatever happened that night, Colin was being told what to do and has been told what to do every minute after that. He never had any independent agency to make a decision about how he was going to handle whatever happened. He was just being told what to do. And so I do have a feeling, I do feel for Colin of all of them.
You just gave me an idea, because generally whenever you're sued, you want to figure out how you can potentially file a claim against the people that did. And it's a very effective method, but you have to do it legitimately. And then I'm thinking Aiden or myself, whoever gets sued, doesn't really have a cause of action against the plaintiffs, but we know that Brian Patrick Higgins is the one that caused it. That's my opinion and conclusion. Mm-hmm. And all of this is because of what he did. So if little Colin Albert was wrongfully persecuted by everyone, because that's what we heard at the beginning, it really stems back to what Brian Patrick Higgins did to John O'Keefe on that night. So question is, if it's his fault, is there a potential cause of action that Aiden and Karen can have against Brian Higgins for causing this? I'm not sure. I got to look into the legality of it, but you did see that strategy work in Aiden's last hearing, for which someone filed a restraining order against him. He filed one against her. Mm-hmm. Generally, it's smart to do. A lot of times we do that. Aiden kind of admitted to that sort of during the hearing. That's sort of, that's the real, look, I don't know about him, but I understand why someone would do that. And it gives you some advantage. Therefore, when you go into those hearings, as we saw Aiden did, you have an opportunity to speak about the other person. They're just not telling you why you're horrible. You get to do the same. And then generally the judge either kicks them all out of the court or issues an order that tells them not to harass each other.
But isn't Karen already bringing a lawsuit against them?
Yes, she is. So therefore, this is something that is strategic on their end, because there's not much at all with regard to any of these claims against Karen. In terms of defamation, most likely everything you say within the confines of a legal proceeding are protected. So if I write a complaint and I say that you killed somebody in a legal complaint, and I had a good faith basis to file that, you can't sue me for defamation for anything that is said in the actual documents. And even it expands to the attorneys and talking about the case. So it's a very hard way to get any type of money from Karen. Now, Aiden will be in a different situation. He wasn't the one that was actually being prosecuted at all. So it's a little bit different with regard to him. And then there's that bullshit.
Go ahead. Yeah. You're probably going to say what I was going to say.
There's that bullshit aiding and abetting claim. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. But I'll say this, and this is what I want to at least, I can't give legal advice, and I can't say if Aiden and I are talking, but if you're in his situation, you need to have a team, not just one attorney or two attorneys, but you need to have a real large firm team, and then also a local counsel, and then someone that can advocate at trial. Assuming this is not going to get settled, you have to put this together, and it's going to be very expensive for him to do. And I'm hoping that we can all, come together and really fund this, because if you look at a firm, the large firms, that's what he needs at least to fight this stuff on the papers. Now, there are a few attorneys that I know that I would call no matter what to help. And, I haven't told them about that, but you have to make sure you have the right counsel. This can't be something that's done flippant or someone that's not used to doing this type of case.
Right. Yeah. He talked about that a little bit on his show last night. Did manage to catch some of it. He has, like he said, a short list, and obviously the leader will have to be somebody in Massachusetts who understands Massachusetts law and has to be a civil attorney. But yeah, right. He'll have a team. He's, talked about having obviously Betterow and Bradle just as part of the team in the background, kind of like you were saying, sort of aiding, supporting. But I agree with you. My first thought was just in hearing you talk about sort of Karen's case and the advantage to having a big firm behind you and how that can be really helpful. It made sense to me. And I agree with you. I think we do all have to come together to help Aiden fight this because, first of all, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous on many levels, right? Because there is evidence. Now, I watched Melanie go through the claim. I've seen a couple different people go through it, and I was really grateful to all the lawyers that sat and went through this really absurd claim. It's tough to even listen to because of the level of absurdity. For example, they're still saying that John died of hypothermia. It's like, there's no hypothermia in his body. Can we just, it's just all nonsense. And there's no science, there's no credibility in any of it. Then you have their little PR team. It's not a big team, but they have the little team. And that little team then goes out, even the Loftus Carrie Roberts interview that, you had spoken about a few days ago. Even in that interview, just it's so crazy when you think about what they will point to try to say that Karen did this. The evidence is so overwhelmingly flimsy. And I know what is happening, right? Like, I don't blame Carrie. I don't look at any of those guys and think, wow, they don't have a choice, right? Like, if you are going to be a support to John and his family, if you're going to be somebody who wants to stay close to Peg O'Keefe and to John's children, which if I'm Carrie Roberts, that's more important to me than any of this, right? Like, I want to be connected to this family. You have absolutely no choice. If you're going to be connected to this family, you have to believe that Karen Read did this. You can't stop and look at all the evidence objectively. It's not even a choice. So nobody around them, there's not a single person in their orbit that's going to say, hey, guys, but science, but physics, but no accident, no one's saying any of that. Nobody anywhere.
You're 100% right. And that's really goes back to the issue with Groupthink and the cupcakes and Melanie and everyone else. And it's not just them, it's everyone who's in this situation. right? So then we look at, to your point, the interview with that woman who speaks with that Boston accent. What is her name?
I think Loftus. Is it Catherine Loftus? I know her last name is Loftus. I don't remember her first name. I think it's Catherine, I think.
Is she a lawyer?
She is a lawyer. I believe her father, my understanding of the situation, and this is maybe like way off, admittedly. My understanding is that her dad is a big attorney in Boston, that she might have been delayed due to some possible substance use stuff earlier on in life, got a legal.
She's cool. She's a party.
Went on and got a degree. Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, she told us 100 times that she's an attorney. And I just give this advice generally to anyone that's getting into this. When you ask a question, don't make it compound. And that goes for the attorneys too. A compound question has more than one question within it. And yesterday I was watching your video, and a lot of times Lally would do that as well. So you don't know what Higgy Bear is lying about. You know he's going to lie about something, but you're not sure which part of the question he's lying about. And don't give a 12-minute preamble. My Indian editor quit after he did that edit because he couldn't take it. He didn't understand what language she was speaking. And then she would... I'm serious, because they don't speak English, so it's hard for them to learn to edit.
That's funny.
And then it would be between about 4 to 7 minutes of a question. And I'm not joking. Like, she would talk for 4 minutes and then finally get to the end question. There would be 12 questions in the middle. Do you know I work with this? You know Bobby Bacala from The Sopranos?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, he had this issue too. Him and I joke. Him and Christopher did a podcast during COVID, and you know they're first starting out, and he's more of just a regular guy that really got into acting. Bobby,
right? Of course.
Yeah, no, his real name. So he would ask 17 questions in one question, right? He would do that because you just got to get used to it. And someone has to tell you. And I always ask you this because you don't use a lot of connectors. I'm like, you know, and these are just basic things that you have to eventually learn. And they don't teach it to you. And you see so many attorneys with this poor ability to ask questions and poor speaking. I see it all the time, especially when you're editing. How many times you like, you know,
it's true
in the speech, and you have to eliminate that. So that's just advice to her. But she asked a good question, and Aiden picked up on it too. And this goes right back to your point of groupthink. She basically said that they overcharged her, meaning Karen, with regard to murder compared to manslaughter. This was the most poignant question that she asked, because it wasn't just a fluff, oh, how bad are you being harassed? This is something where, to your point, what was Carrie's reaction to it? Because it is challenging everything they're saying, because these people believe that Karen intentionally murdered John with her car. That's their belief. If you think it's manslaughter where she's just drunk and she hits him and doesn't know about it, it's a completely different situation. Yes, the parents will be mad, but this was finally a question where you get to some substance that's not just talking about how they're being harassed. And you saw Carrie sort of answer it, but come back to the fact that she believes that it was intentional and it should have been second-degree murder.
That's interesting, because I think there's been indications throughout that Carrie didn't believe that, as particularly in the beginning, that she didn't believe that it was intentional, that she thought it was an accident. The problem with that, though, because they only ever cite the telematics, which is just so crazy for so many reasons. But we'll pretend, even if we pretend that it really was the key cycle, that is Karen driving, which we have no evidence of, right? But let's pretend that it is, okay? We all agree that is Karen driving the car in front of 34 Fairview at that moment, which we don't, but let's say we did. So the claim is that Karen guns it, 90% foot on the gas, in reverse, out of nowhere, no history of violence, never ever lifted a finger to John O'Keefe, never hit him, never pushed him, never threw shit at him, right? Never. All of a sudden, in her mid-40s, decides on this night, after they had been on camera, like hugging and laughing, whatever, they get in the car, 10 minutes later, she is literally gunning it to to drive in reverse, which is, by the way, also not possible because of the way that that roadway system is set up. It's on a curve. There's absolutely no way that Karen could have effectively done that. And, by the way, only got his arm enough somehow, because this totally defies the laws of physics, to crack, because it was not a shattered taillight, right? The taillight was intact, according to them. So that she backs into him at that speed, at that distance, which is not even possible, and then somehow leaves those claw marks and bite marks on John's arm, but doesn't break a bone, there's no other damage to anywhere else on the body except for bruises on both hands. Both, by the way, both hands. How are they doing that?
Yeah, and there's no way to explain it. And I'm glad you actually put that video of that in there. And that's the crazy thing about this case. As much as we look into it, there's always something we find new. So you yesterday, or maybe this morning, put out a video showing the reenactment of that. And that really is what won the case, because there are no physical injuries indicating that he was struck by a vehicle. We have so much evidence with regard to what the actual injuries would be. And for there to be not even a bruise, let alone a fracture, it's virtually impossible. But to see the car actually smash into the Rescue Randy's arm and what it would actually do was very visual, and just it should stop there. But her attorneys have put in that complaint that John was struck by a vehicle, despite all the evidence that we have. I mean, that's literally the part of this case which starts in their complaint, that he was hit by her vehicle.
Exactly. It's so great. And that's the thing, like.
And her attorneys, I'm not laughing at you. If you want to sue her, I'll give you her address. Just email me the issue, and I will forward you Sam's address. I am not laughing at you, the big Hinkle firm, whoever the hell is representing her.
Oh my God. It's just so ridiculous. Like, the whole thing is so ridiculous. And I don't know how we're still here. Like, I don't know how we're still here. Vince, explain it. And let me just also say one more thing. We're going to get into this, I know. But so then you go back into the testimony, okay? You go back into the testimony to look at the period of time before, let me just underline and underscore, before Karen Reed's Lexus is out front of that house. And nobody can give you a single detail about what the hell is going on, honestly. Nobody can tell you anything that's true, Vince. Nobody can say a word that's true. Like, I can't, so forget about the physical evidence where there's no car accident. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Right. Just move on. We get it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then the lying is so, and it's when Karen's not even there yet. Explain that. Somebody tell me what that is about. If they're just innocent snowflakes, why are they lying?
Yeah, so you are investigating what is happening before Karen and John arrive at 12:24 and 36 seconds. Now, I'll say this to you, that we are certain that Jen is on the phone with John at 12:18 and some seconds. So at 12:18, she's speaking with John, and somehow between 12:18 and 12:20, Brian Patrick Higgins, old Higgy Bear, is within earshot of that conversation. And there's evidence that Jen is moving at that time at 12:18 by her Apple Watch.
Sure.
So she could either be in the house or right outside of her car. So that leaves a very small area where Brian is at that particular time at 12:18. So you're trying to figure out what's going on in the house. This doesn't necessarily answer it, but we know for certain that he has to hear this conversation, and it's not a long conversation. So from 12:18 to 12:20, Brian and Jen are within earshot.
Yeah, no. And so here's the thing, right? There's two things going on, and this is the part that's really hard to parse out from their testimonies. There's where they really were and what they were really doing at that time. And then there's all of this information that they're trying to essentially plant or obfuscate in retrospect about that time. And so trying to like piece that apart to actually determine what's true and what's not true is exhaustive. It is insanity. It's so much effort just to try to figure that out. So I completely agree with you. And part of the problem is with Brian Higgins, really, he gives us so little that's true after he leaves the waterfall. He even intentionally tells us a text message. The text message that he sends, that he tells us he sent to John, he actually intentionally gives us the wrong message, right? He tells us, where are you is what I think I sent. Of course, we know that's not what he sent. So that by itself is consciousness of guilt. Just the fact that, and based on the way he says it, we know he's lying. So we know he knows that he's misrepresenting the text message that he actually sent to John. Now you tell me, what's the difference between where are you and you coming here?
Followed by 3 question marks. And you bring up a great point. He actually read it and lied. If you look at the testimony, he's looking at the actual words, but his
he doesn't,
brain...
during this part, he's not, but go ahead, sorry.
No, there's a time when he's reading it, and because that's a clip that I use, because Lally's showing it to him, and he literally reads it the wrong way, meaning it's not what was actually said. And we can go back and check, obviously, if that's occurred, but almost certain that when he references it while he's reading the text, he actually does read it incorrectly. And yeah, there's a huge difference. I covered this in my video a long time ago before I knew even that much about the case of you coming here followed by 3 question marks, or are you coming here?
Or where are you is actually.
Where are you? Oh, he said, where are you?
Where are you is what he says. It's where are you versus you coming here. And it's amazing that he actually took the time to stop and try to figure out a way to recalibrate the same sentiment so it's close enough, but doesn't quite have the eagerness attached, right? Big difference. You coming here? Like, that's a different question than where are you? Even though the sentiment is similar, it doesn't have the desperation. And what you have to ask yourself is, if you have nothing to hide and you had no part in the death of John O'Keefe, why would you have to change the sentence?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing it subconsciously and almost consciously, because remember that during the trials, we didn't know the relationship that Brian Patrick had with John. We didn't know that they were texting all the time. And of course, it stops with Karen. And then more importantly, there's no text between John and him at all until this exact time, which is so indicative of guilt. It doesn't prove that he did it, but it is so indicative that all of a sudden at 12:20, after all of this, you are so concerned about confronting John. You didn't text him earlier saying, hey, we're going to the waterfall. None of that. Where are you? Where you coming? You coming here? What? No. And we went through exactly what triggered him in his mind. And of course, the limerence effect, the natural ability and wants to get rid of a rival male. This case comes down to the most simple ever motive that's been going on and will happen today. Someone will die today because of this exact motive. It is so strong. That's why motive is so key in solving these cases. This isn't a random killing. This is something where some of those 10 people, and there's only 10, had to have a motive, unless it was an accident, and it's not. So it's a very simple case. And is there a possibility in your mind that Jen McCabe, little Colin Albert, Coco never knew about what Brian Higgins did?
No.
So in your mind, it's absolutely not. So so he died with Jen McCabe knowing.
Everybody knew.
Okay.
Everybody knew.
Yeah, see, I'm not there at all.
The reason why I say that, and this is exactly why I've been working on this, right? This is exactly the question that I'm trying to answer, because just like you, we're at that moment, I'm trying to figure out what happens at the time. Does John O'Keefe go into the house, right? That's the big question. Right. Does John O'Keefe go into the house? For years, for decades, forever, and just like you, I had a really hard time believing that because primarily of Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel, right? It's taken me years to realize that based on a number of factors, we don't have to go into the big list here, but if you watch my most recent videos, you will start to see it, that these people are just completely in bed with them. And even if they wanted to not be, there really was no other choice, right? None of these people had a choice. That's the bottom line, right? None of them really had a choice. There is nobody. Brian Albert is bigger than all of the local people. And I wanted to make sure and say this. And so I'm glad that you mentioned this question, because I'll forget if I don't say it now. Over the weekend, you had sent, and I guess this came from Masshole Mafia, and I know everybody has comments too. I promise we're going to get to you guys. Don't worry, we're going to get to you. Over the weekend, Masshole Mafia put out some photos. Kate Peter puts up some photos from allegedly the funeral in New York. Okay, so these pictures are supposed to be, and I will put them on the screen in a second, from the funeral in New York, where we see Brian Higgins and Kevin Albert and, Chief Berkowitz. Oh, isn't that funny? Oh, Chief Berkowitz is in those photos. How
Holy shit. I sent it to you, but yeah, I never actually appreciated the fact that Berkowitz was with him.
Right. So Kay Peters putting up on the thing. She's like, trying to make a big deal about the fact that people were saying they didn't really go to the funeral because people were saying that. Well, what we were pointing out was that there was deception. There was clear indicators of deception in Brian Albert and Brian Higgins' testimony about the funeral. Well, what they were probably being deceptive about is who they were with. They didn't want us to know that they were actually there with the chief of fucking police. It's unbelievable. It makes me insane, right? Because this is my whole point. My whole point is these people are so close, guys. They're so close. Even if I knew who killed, if I had seen John O'Keefe lose his life and I called the police station, any one of them, I could have called the Boston PD. I could have called the Norfolk County That's who I would have been rerouted to, as Michael Proctor, or I could have called the local PD, and every one of those places would have squashed what I was saying, because nobody wanted to hear that anybody else but Karen Reed was responsible for this death. Period. End of story.
Or you had such a powerful connection, meaning Berkowitz.
That's what I mean.
But my theory is different than yours, that it was very easy to taint this entire situation just by having Berkowitz on your side, because he had access to the vehicle. He had access to the actual pieces of taillight, which were critical. And of course, he has the best eyesight of a Jewish police captain I've ever seen. And look at this guy. He can spot a little piece of taillight from 70, 80 yards away. He's amazing.
Look at this. Look at this.
Zoom in. Can you zoom in on that?
That's Kevin Albert. That's Kevin Albert in this picture, everybody. Like, I can't deal with these people. I can't deal with it. It's like the gaslighting is torture. It really is. It's torture for me. I can't zoom in because I don't know how, or I don't even know if there's a way to do it on here. But look at this picture. I can't. I don't disagree with you that Berkowitz could have been and probably was directly involved with making sure to protect them. Look at this picture. He's with them. Kevin Albert is in it's like, no wonder why we didn't see these pictures until now, because they don't want us to see this. Nobody wants us to know that this is who they were with at the funeral. I mean, do we not see what, you know what I'm saying? Do we not get it? Is it not registering? I can't.
Yeah, well, the connection to actually Berkowitz being there is, I completely miss it. I was just sending you stuff, I guess, that I found or someone sent to me. But him being there is critical. I mean, he spent the whole time with him. So that is something where we know that they have a special relationship born out of a tragedy. And all you needed was Berkowitz. You didn't need Proctor. You didn't need Yuri. It's great that they were assigned. They're very easy to dupe. And eventually, though, we have to deal with what we have. We can't keep complaining about what wasn't done. We have to solve this case by what we have. And this is a very critical piece of evidence, because my hypothesis has evolved to that it was only Brian Patrick, it was only Berkowitz, and it was only potentially Brian Albert. And that puts the plaintiffs in Aiden's case in a weird situation with me, because every day I go on and I advocate for the fact that Brian Patrick Higgins killed John O'Keefe or was involved with the murder. Whether he has a defense, I don't know. But he knows what happened. He was involved in John's death. I say it This is not your opinion. This is my statement.
No, it's right. Mm-hmm.
And I will say this to them. And I'll send it to their attorneys. I will not move for a motion to dismiss. I will not file a slap motion, which is the ability for me to get my attorney fees paid for. I won't do that. I promise you. I will put in an answer and we'll go right into the case. So you have that representation from me, and I will accept service. You don't have to pay a service processor. You can send me the complaint via email. Brian Patrick Higgins, your plaintiff, not Jen, not little Colin Albert, and I don't care about Brian Albert. I'm not sure. I'm certain that Brian Patrick Higgins killed John O'Keefe or was involved in the death.
All right.
So now,
well, wait a minute. Like, take a pause. So here's the problem with what you're saying. Okay, there is a problem. And the problem is that every single one of these people is lying about what was going on in that house before, this is really important, before John O'Keefe and Karen Reed pull up in front of that house. They're all lying. And it's not a question. I mean, it is an absolute, they are lying. There's period, right? So if what you're saying is true, and it could be, like, in other words, there could be people there, because I think the reason why they are so hell-bent on moving the party to a different location than where it was is because of the innocence, because of the people who really were not involved, but who happened to have eyes, right? And so I think they were trying to protect people in all of this, and that is part of why they moved them, right? But that's what makes it incriminating to me that everybody had to see it, because how or why would you be lying about something that happened before everybody arrives? See, because if they could, think of it this way, if I really saw nothing, if I truly did not see anything that night, if I'm Julie Nagel and I'm Sarah Levinson or I'm Jennifer McCabe even, and I saw nothing, I would be, are you kidding me? I'd be on that witness stand screaming, oh, I did this and we did this and this happened and that happened and blah, blah, blah. I would give you an absolute play-by-play of every second of everything that happened. And you would know that it was me telling the truth, because there would be no rehearsal. It wouldn't be, there'd be no humming and hawing, no extra words, no reducing commitment. Just be like me telling you what happened. It might be boring as hell, right? Like, oh, we were doing
not what
this.
I heard.
Well, my point is, it's 20 minutes, but you can make 20 minutes, an hour of testimony pretty easily. It might be a very boring testimony, but you can still do that to prove your innocence. These guys listen, Hank Brennan really tried to get Jen. He tried with his whole heart. What happened in there, Jen? Like, he tried in every question he could to get her to tell us exactly what happened in that house before John and Karen pull up. Laughing, talking, listening to music, chit chat. That's it. That's what you get. You get a bullshit story about a video that we know for sure, thanks to Ian Whiffen, they did not play that night, but they played 2 days earlier. So we know that story is totally fabricated. So, you've got them telling us, you've got Jen
Which video
saying,
is that? Corey's most hated song?
No, yes, It's Raining Men. Yes, that Corey.
Yeah, she
yes.
hates that song. Me too. Now, I'll say this, Sam, that I have
wait,
hypothesis.
one more thing. Let me say one more thing, and then you can, So, okay, the other thing is, at that moment that Jen says she walks in, okay, that's when she has them, Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, in the family room looking at pictures of the son in the Marines. That is the moment when she is saying they were in there looking at pictures. So it's happening, according to Jen, when John and Karen are not there yet.
Got you.
Okay.
I'll say this, that I had my original assumption that there's no way those kids would be lying, the two female kids. And after seeing and learning, I am not excluding that. So don't think that I'm excluding that potential, because you're right. I saw how they both testified. They potentially and would lie in this situation.
Absolutely.
The only thing is, had they seen the actual physical contact, it's going to be one punch and John unconsciously falls and hits the back of his head. Now he's lying on the ground bleeding out. Are they that strong enough to last this long without disclosing that and not being affected by it?
Well, I don't know that first off, we can't know they're not affected by it. So that's number one. But number two is, think of it this way. Remember that video where I played in my open the video where Aiden is coming out of CF McCarthy's, and it's just hilarious. It's so funny. It's a very fun, right? Colin sees them on the way in. He assumes that there's danger because they're outside, but they're just going into CF McCarthy's genuinely. And when he comes out, all of them are in front of the pizza shop, right? But who's there? Who are the people that Colin Albert has called to help save the day and to protect D&E? The people he has called are Julie Nagel, Sam Nagel, and Ryan Nagel. Colin Albert, this is Colin and Chris Albert. This isn't Brian Jr. This isn't Brian Albert's family. And Chris Albert Jr. is also there. So in other words, Julie is so much a part of this group. I mean, she's not just friends with Brian Jr. It would be really silly and misleading to pretend like that's the case. Either before this, she was already friends with Colin, or she became very tight with them after the fact, right? So we don't know exactly, what happened and what the dynamics are, but we know that she for sure, without a doubt, is as close to those people as a sibling. So unless, the feds are standing over these two and they're pounding the table for information, which, by the way, has never happened. Unless that's the case, who are they going to, first of all, nobody's coming to ask those questions. But second of all, there's never been any pressure on them to tell the truth. So, and who would you call? Like I said, you're going to call Canton PD, you're going to call the Massachusetts State Police, you're going to call the Boston PD. Who are you calling?
In fairness to little Colin, if I was in any physical danger, I would call Julie Nagel. She looks like she can whip some ass. I'm not joking. I'm not calling little Colin Albert. I'm calling Julie Nagel for some muscle.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe that's a fair thing to say. Let me get to some of these people too. I know you were going to say something. I didn't.
And I'll say this, that if Aiden does show up here, he told us that he had a doctor's appointment at 12:10, which is suspect to me because today's that day in Boston where you guys have that baseball game early in the morning. It's like already starting in Fenway.
He's not in Boston, though.
I know, but he's a Massachusetts fan, right? I'm just a little suspect of that. Now he'll be here. I know.
He'll be
but
here.
If you have questions for him, I'm writing them down as well because some people have been sending them. So if you have questions, I'll keep him here and we can ask him when he gets here.
Well, you were going to say something else? You started to say
That's
something
it.
else. Okay. Thank you so much. Got a bad feeling. Hi, got a bad feeling. How are you? Sends a stupid sticker. $1.99. Hello, Mr. Mark. Mark says, hello, Sam. Wasn't there something going around that John O was investigating some before all of this happened? I forgot what it was. Maybe it was against another police. I could be wrong. No, he was investigating local drug activity, I believe, in the neighborhood of Fairview Avenue or Fairview Road. And that was verified by Helen, what's her name? Rafferty. So there was an investigation and it was in the neighborhood, but if what I think happened, it happened really fast. Like really fast, because we're going to look at that in my next video. That's where we're all headed with the videos I've been working on recently, is really looking to answer a very specific question. And I think it could have happened really fast. And if it happened as fast as I think it did, then this was about Brian Higgins. It had to be. There's no other reason for this to go down as quickly as it would have. There's almost no other way, right? Had to have been about Brian Higgins, or unless there really was some kind of terribly bad blood between Colin and John. I have a hard time believing that, only because John was really friendly with Chris. I would think he would not have wanted to hurt Colin if he had a choice in the matter. That's my
You're
that's my
100%
feeling.
right. You have to be a boy in the suburbs to understand how little Colin Albert at that time has no animosity towards John. I will give Aiden credit. He believes that Colin Albert, at least initially, was involved. That was his hypothesis. But he always said that I'm not buying the beer cans on the grass theory as a motive.
Right.
So, and again, I'm not faulting everyone. I came in later, so I'm sort of at an advantage. I wasn't told that it was Brian Albert and little Colin Albert initially that started this, right? So I didn't have that preconceived notion. And, I'm taking down these questions. I won't say like who it's from, but the first one, and you got to let me know if Aiden gets offended, but it's like, from this person, why do you dislike that Why do you dislike that sexy god Peter Tragos? Does Aiden have an issue with him or something?
No. I don't think so. I think he was talking about inviting him to come on during the fundraiser last night. So I don't think so. We'll find out though. Poker Mike 76 sends 199. How does the DA pursue if the ME says the car didn't cause the injury? That's a good question.
Poker Mike is Anthony Cumia's best friend. Anthony Cumia. Yeah. But Poker Mike's from Massachusetts, and he always tells me the town, and I forget, but he's like close to Braintree, and he knows like all the details too. So I'm going to have him when we go on our tour. He'll be around there. We can stop at Poker Mike's mom's
exciting.
house.
Okay, that's very exciting.
But what is this
welcome,
question?
Poker Mike. So how does the DA pursue if the ME says that a car didn't cause the injury? Well, I guess the ME didn't say the car didn't. The ME said that she didn't know what caused the injury, right? I don't know if that's a different distinction, but that's a good point, though.
But it is the point, though. And I was disappointed in Scorty Bello for not being more aggressive with this, because this is a huge red flag in the entire system where if you have a murder case and your medical examiner does not agree that it's homicide, things must get done. There must be red flags, triggers in our system where there's ultimate review. And despite all the bad policing up to this point, this could have been the point where we look to other people because there was no car accident, right? So if you're telling me there was a car accident and the guy has no broken bones, something else happened, and it may have to go up to the chief. We're talking about murder here, where the chief reviews it, signs off on, and how about a system, Sam, where you have to come up with 2 alternative theories to what you've already had when this occurs, meaning you literally have to hypothesize and then rule them in or out, something to that effect. And we never would have met, we never would have been here had it actually been caught at that level.
Well, and it's interesting because, with some of the work that, folks like Aussie Insider are doing on some of the evidence, it makes you wonder, was there, I was never really big into like the conspiracy idea, the idea that there was like a more than a moronic and sprinkled down some harmless taillight pieces. I never thought there was a big corruption going on behind the scenes, but now, you have no choice. You have to start to ask questions. Melanie was asking on her show when she read the lawsuit, she mentioned that there's no location data in Karen's phone. And that's an interesting point, right? I never stopped and thought, because Karen had to give over her phone right away. And I'm sure she wasn't prepared to do that. She was out of sorts that morning. She gives it over that day. So she didn't have time. It did take them, which is kind of funny, 7 months to break the code to get in, right? It was probably like 1, 2, 3, 4 or something. But anyway, Gray Key eventually breaks the code around 7 months later. That's when we see Proctor saying no nudes so far. That was like in August, I believe, of 2022. So they're saying, though, that there was no location data. And the truth is they could have very easily wiped it because they had the phone before Karen's team had a chance. And that's interesting to me that there was no location data, right? When you really think about that, how is that possible? Can you do that? Can you turn the location off on your phone?
Presumably, but I believe that you'll be able to obtain it. But the good news is we know basically where she is because she's with John from the point where he exits the vehicle, and we know exactly where they were at 12:24 and 36 seconds. They were in that car. And thank God for that Wi-Fi. We know that at 12:36 that she's back at home. And I love, to your point earlier, the groupthink. I don't know if it was your video where you show that good-looking friend of John's who points to the Wi-Fi and the telematics, but he's like, oh, you could connect to the Wi-Fi from 12 miles away. It's like, no, you can't. You can. If you live in the suburbs, you got to at least be at the house. But the fact that he even gave that excuse is an indicator of what his true belief is and how he's trying to deflect and not acknowledge any real evidence that contradicts what they were actually saying. Because at 12:36, if she's home and his phone is moving at 12:32 and 8 seconds, there's no way that she could have hit him. No way.
Totally. I just want to give a special shout out. Hi, Sherry D. I haven't seen her in a while. I miss her terribly. Hello. Sherry and I have a special bond because my very first members only we had a complete screw up with how we set it up. And I had a friend helping me. We totally screwed it up. But Sherry and I got to have this really deep conversation. So Sherry's a special place in my heart. Hi, Sherry.
Are you saying that relationship was born out of a tragedy?
It was, of course. Sherry's actually got tremendous knowledge of this case from the beginning, which I always appreciate because a lot happened in the very beginning of this case that many of us didn't really know the details about. Thank God. I have to say, I'm very appreciative that I did not have to go through the pain and suffering of the pretrial motions, because watching those even now brings terrible pain and suffering, watching them fight and claw and trying to get all their motions passed and the judge be Judge Beverly Canoni. It's what makes you really start to have very negative feelings strong negative feelings for Judge Canoni. Welcome, new member Jake Hudson 8452. I actually took a screenshot. I will not forget to because what's really screwed up when I put up our post, people will comment and stuff, but then when I start the show, all that gets deleted. So I finally realized it, and now I'm taking screenshots before so I can get everybody who shows up, says hi, and becomes a member or whatever. So we see you guys if that's you. Carrie Cove has been a member for 5 months. Hi, Carrie. She says, love your content, Samantha. Happy anniversary. Well, thank you. Happy anniversary to you. It's our 5-month
What
anniversary? Our 5-month anniversary.
Who?
Her and I, Carrie and I.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought maybe your beefcake of a fiance.
No. We met in September, so not even close. Got a bad feeling, sends $9.99. Thank you, Samantha and Vince, for all you do. I know you put your entire heart into your work, and it shows. Appreciate you so much. I got to tell you guys, this job is tough. It is it really is. Sometimes these videos, first of all, this one I'm working on now, it's painful because it took me a very long time. You really have to know the content when you're going through this. You have to know, oh, I remember so-and-so said this. Let me go see if I can find that clip. And big shout out, by the way, to the trial channel for that, because the trial channel, the trial channel, thank God, puts all of the different segments in so I can find what's going on in these testimonies, because now I'm enough familiar where I can even go in and search words in the transcripts, but I couldn't do that for a long time. Now I can do that. I couldn't do that forever. So I can find stuff much more quickly. But you got to know what they say in order to do this, and that takes a lot of time and effort. It really does.
Yeah, the trial channel is good because it has all the different chapters. But now that we have Gemini, it totally alleviates the need for that at all. So you could just type in words.
Well, now you can. Yeah, you
can.
So you can also you can do that on the show transcripts too. But
Poker Mike and Miss Judy keep sending me screenshots of how much the trial channel hates me on Twitter. I'm like, I'm not on Twitter, but they all blame me for saying stuff on Twitter. I don't know what's going on. I've never met the person. You guys say it's a girl. I don't know who it is. I don't know why the person hates me.
I don't know.
I never spoke to them ever.
I don't know anything about it. All I'm telling you is that I love the trial channel, and special shout out to you.
Well, I'll say this, Sam. When nothing's going on, you can devote time to us fighting within. But when something does happen, this is serious what's going on right now, you have to put all that shit aside and focus your energy on fighting this, because technically Aiden could lose every single asset that's not protected, meaning that it's not in a homestead or in a retirement account. That can follow you forever. If you get a judgment against someone, it's basically for life. And I heard the girls bragging that they had the attorney for the person that sued, the people that sued Alex Jones. I have not heard that they actually recovered any money, not even $1 yet. So you can get $1 trillion judgment, but if the person has no money, then you perhaps may have gone the wrong way, or just the way it is sometimes. So that's what you want to be if you're someone like Aiden himself. You want to be able to have something where they really can't get into your personal assets. You're protecting corporations and other things. Yeah. So that's a critical aspect of this business.
And also, though, I mean, the reality here is this isn't the Alex Jones situation as much as, whoever wants to get together and say it is. I mean, it just isn't. There is very real, there's a reason why all of us are brought together by this case. There's a reason why so many people were behind Aiden and will be behind Aiden again now. There's a reason why so many people supported Karen Reed. It's not because they brainwashed us. It's because when you look at the facts, they're shocking. The facts of this case are so unbelievable that even now, like, I couldn't believe last Wednesday during my live stream when we were looking at Brian Higgins' testimony. I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. I was blown away by the fact that he could not say a single true thing about this period of time. And Vince, this is a layup. It's a layup. Karen and John are nowhere in sight. All you have to do is tell us what happened. And none of them can do it, and especially not Brian Higgins. There is so much consciousness of guilt in Brian Higgins' testimony. And the thing about it is he hates it. And you can really see that. That's why I'm not surprised why he's fighting back, right? He hates it. He hates it. This was a firefighter, right? They are the guys that everyone's happy to see. The police, like I worked with the NYPD in New York City for a while. And when they would get in trouble, they'd get sent to me. And they're jealous of the firefighters because
I'd probably get in trouble on purpose if I get to see you. That's pretty good compared to a lot of people that do your job.
Well, I got a stack of cards for sure, and a lot of women, a lot of women too, though. A lot of women, and both, and they're so jealous of the.
What do you mean the guys are giving you their cards after they're in trouble? Like, yeah, whatever. Here, call me.
No, they all give, like, I didn't even know they were a thing, but like what are they called? Like, you're supposed to flash those cards, I guess, if you get pulled over or whatever.
You're getting the PBA cards.
The PBA cards. Yeah, I got a
man,
stack
it must
of
be
them.
nice to be good looking. You and Peter Trigos, man. Life is so much different when you're good looking. I'm not used to that.
Well, I worked with them for a while, and they were my favorite. I have a special place in my heart for the NYPD. But they would also tell me, like, the firefighters, when they show up, everyone's psyched. Like, yay, the firefighters are here. But when the cops are there, everyone's sort of scared and, like, has this negative attitude. And I think Brian Higgins was a firefighter, like, in his DNA, right? He just from when we spoke to Kevin, I know it's a touchy subject to bring this up. I know you guys had
Not
a breakup.
for me. I'm over it. I got a new friend.
Good.
Oh, yeah, good.
But I think he hates this. I think he genuinely hates it. I don't think he wants to be seen as a bad guy. And I don't think he's a terrible guy at all. I think they handled this terribly, but I don't think that he is a bad person. I think this situation really, really sucks. I mean, it sucks for everybody, but there's no way around this because John O'Keefe didn't get hit by a car. That's okay. Obviously, I mean, you know that already. And there's so much more. I mean, something happened to that man and he went into that house. Also, by the way, this is very preliminary, but I did a very quick analysis on Karen. So Karen is asked coming out of court one day, something like, did you see John go into the house? And she says, I did. I saw him go in. I think that's what she says. I saw him go in the house. No, sorry. I saw him go in the house. That's what she says.
She's made a few representations publicly, none of them under oath except for a written statement. Sometimes she said she saw him approach the door and then she turns her head down to look at her phone to check emails and to put something on YouTube. So she does not admit in one of the interviews. The other one, she said that he opened the door and went to go in.
She said she saw him break the plane. Yes. Yep.
But not necessarily go in. Like I think there may have been two doors, like a screen door that people have and then a front door. I'm not sure. But it was never conclusive in those two statements that he went into the house. And
well, here's what I was going to say, though. She believes it. So when Karen said it, I mean, you couldn't get a more honest statement. The way she said it. It was so matter of fact. It was exactly what you would expect. So she believes it. Now, whether she's convinced herself she's seen it, maybe. I mean, I'm not arguing that it's definitely happened because she said it. All I'm saying is that she believes that. She definitely believes it based on the way she says it and what she says.
Well, now you got me thinking because you were asking why can't Brian Higgins figure out what's going on before they got there. But as I said to you, we know for certain between 12:18 and 12:20 and 48 seconds, he's either in the driveway or near the door where Jen enters because she's not on the phone for that long. But at 12:20 and 48 seconds, just 2 minutes later, he's texting John and probably is waiting either by the door or outside for him. So that does give like some opportunity for them to say they never saw it, or maybe they didn't actually see it, right? Because we're not certain that he was attacked in the house. I know that's what you're claiming, but based upon the technology with regard to the radius, he's not really in the house for a significant amount of time, if that is accurate, right? So just because we see that circle doesn't mean that it actually happens, but it's something, right? He's not in New York, he's there at 34 Fairview.
Well,
right?
but
So
whether he's like in the, you know, to me, the family room, which is where they would be, is, you know, the garage, the family room, the driveway, they're all so close together.
Yeah.
So the location data, he's there, like you said, he's there. We know he's there. The question is, did he go into the house? And
right.
The only way that I could in my mind see that he didn't is kind of what you're saying. Brian's outside, and as Karen turns away, thinking he goes in the house. Because Karen believes he did. Whether or not she saw it, I can't say, right? She thinks she did. So it's possible that he is walking in that direction, and Brian Higgins says, hey, and then pulls him. But the way that they're all lying so egregiously about the family room, about the pictures with the son in the Marines. I mean, that's the time that they're lying about. That is what they were doing. So it's like to realize that the whole conversation, the whole story, the whole ridiculous, absurd, made up thing about the son in the Marines, and Nicole says it's Brian Jr. when he was in the Marines, and that the whole thing is obviously fabricated, but it's happening at the time, according to Jen, when she walks in that house.
Yeah, you keep saying that that's exactly when Jen said it, and I'm not sure if that's the case, the second she walks in, but
that's what she says.
What I've learned from you is to look for the people giving you very specific details for something that should be mundane, as if, yeah, we were just looking at pictures. No, we were upstairs looking at pictures of Jack in his Marine outfit. Right. And that's the problem, because we're not sure if they're sticking to this story just to stick to the story because we've all agreed to that, or we all witnessed someone get killed and we have to do this, right? So although we can see deception and indicators of deception, we're not 100% certain why they're being deceitful. That's the key thing we have to keep in mind.
Of
when
course,
we're
but here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of other, those are not the reasons why I think they were in the family room. There's other very much more significant reasons. It was Julie Nagel who kind of gave it up by accident, but that's another story. Once she gave that up, then you go back and you can hear Brian Albert tell you. So he's asked directly by Adam Lally. He says, where were you guys hanging out throughout the majority of the night? And he says, well, he begins to explain. He says, so we know he's being deceptive. So he says, so first. Then he describes the kitchen and he talks about it all being open. And then he mentions, and the family room, right? So we have that. Then you have Matt, whose testimony is it's the best. Matt McCabe's testimony about this part of the night is my absolute favorite of all time. Every time I watch it, I almost pee my pants laughing. It is hilarious. It's absolutely hysterical. So if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. It is
well, what's
phenomenal.
So funny about it? Not being serious. He's goofy, but what part is funny?
You got to see it. I don't know how else to say it. So from the second he's asked, I mean, this is actually, he might have been the thing that really tipped me off first, that something was wrong, right? So he's asked when he arrives to the house, because Lally like asks these dumb, mundane questions about like everything from snow.
Don't you dare start talking poorly about Lally. I'll stand for a lot of shit, but not that.
I'm not even talking shit about him. I'm just saying, like, he will ask for mundane detail to the point where the judge is like rolling her eyes and yelling at him for doing it. So he's asking like play by play, like, how did you get there? Which road did you take? The whole thing. So he asks him, when you got there, like, where did Jen, because she's driving, where did your wife park? And he's like, he starts out by, you got to just see it. I don't know how else to say it. He's like, and you see him like looking and thinking, and he's making all these weird faces and his lips are moving in weird ways. And he's like, she pulled the vehicle into the driveway. And he says it you got to see, you just have to see it. I don't know how else to say it, but it starts with that. And then from there, the absurdity just starts to like unravel. Like, and you can see that he had a rehearsed statement, but he already used it like he used it before he was supposed to in the line of questioning. So then when he's asked the same question again, he knows he can't use that. So he gets stuck. He doesn't know what to say. And words are coming out. I mean, it's amazing. It is like fantastic. But it is what really like sent the alarm bells off in my mind. It was the thing that at first made me go, okay, something is so wrong here. And so, you know, go ahead.
Again, when I was listening to your video, I never heard Brian Patrick Higgins say that he parked the Jeep in front of the house because he wanted to make sure that it wasn't blocking the driveway or something else. But then he said, and I didn't want to get blocked in.
Right.
And then I never heard that before. But if you never lived in a white suburban neighborhood, you don't understand how important parking in front of someone's house is. It's almost like sacred that you don't park in front of someone else's house unless there's a party, which is random, right? Yep. People are very territorial. We're human apes over our parking, especially in the suburbs. There is no possible way that you can be blocked in when you're parking on the street. So to me, subconsciously, he was telling us exactly what he did. He pulled out and then pulled all the way to the right, which it's almost a 3-lane in that driveway. It's a big driveway because he didn't want to get blocked in.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but he could have also parked behind Brian Albert. I thought about that. Next to the driveway. Next to the mailbox. Because that part, he does say, I parked near the mailbox. And I thought, okay, that might have been true. But it doesn't necessarily
I
mean
get what you're
he's in front
saying.
of the house.
Right. But they're so definitive that he's out there on the street next to the mailbox. I see what you're saying, that if it's in the driveway, but it's a complete different scenario when you're in front of the house compared to, and of course, we're trying to figure out why is he lying about this and why did he get the few other people to go along with this lie. I do want to say, you mentioned Kevin before, I do have a new best friend, John from Canton. I know you all know him from some other last name, but John is like one of the best resources for any gossip or any details, not just gossip, details in this case. And Sam, when you look at that complaint, it's very critical, the order of names. And it's very telling from a psychological standpoint. Jen McCabe is the named plaintiff, the first named plaintiff. There's 4 named plaintiffs. But whenever you see a lawsuit, they usually use the first name of the plaintiff and then the first defendant. So McCabe v. whoever she sued, was it Reed first? But I didn't care about the defendant, I'm talking about the plaintiff. So she's first. Backing her up is Brian Albert, which is a ballsy move. But then you have Colin, which I agree. He has a claim. As much as we think that all the other shit in the complaint is bullshit, if you made a representation that little Colin Albert killed someone and he didn't, then he would feel potentially harmed. You are facing potential defamation per se, which is different than regular defamation. Yeah. Defamation per se are just a few extreme things that you could say about someone where you don't have to show receipts for your damages. They're assumed that you have damages. Now, the jury can award $1, they can award $17 million, but it's critical. Everything that they're alleging is defamation per se. It's not regular defamation where I would just make a comment that's negative about you. These are extreme examples where you say someone committed a crime, someone has venereal disease or a sexual disease. So we're in that category. So then it's going to turn. This whole case will turn on whether or not they're private or public figures, because it does make a difference.
Yeah,
because just because Aiden believed that he was true, what he was saying was true, just because he believed it, he doesn't get a free pass. I don't get a free pass. Forget Aiden, me.
Right.
Just because I believe Brian Patrick Higgins killed John O'Keefe, that's defamation per se, if it's not true.
If it's not true.
Right. And just because I believe it, just because we know all the evidence is there, it doesn't mean that he can't successfully get a claim for defamation per se against me. Because if he's just a private person, meaning not a public figure, all he has to show is that I was negligent, meaning that I should have known that what I was saying was false. Not that I believed it, but that I should have known. So that's a critical legal aspect in this case.
Right. Yep. And that's like, I know that's kind of what Corey was saying too. Let me read some of these before Aiden gets here too. At BoyceJW1 sends $2. B. Higgy not sold out just to protect the innocent. Did not sell out. Be Higgy, not sold out. Read that for me, because I
get this all the time. They're basically saying there's no way Brian Higgins, people in the house would lie for Brian Higgins. There's a very actual way that those people in the house never knew what Brian Higgins did. They clearly didn't know what was going on in his brain. They clearly didn't know he was the only one with a motive. So there is a chance where Jen McCabe is as innocent as anybody. And I know people hate to hear that, but if they didn't believe or see that he was attacked by Brian, then they didn't have to protect him. They're protecting themselves, not Brian Higgins.
Right. There's a lot of evidence after the fact there. And, I have always said, I'm not suggesting, I personally do not believe Jennifer McCabe is guilty of murder. If anything, certainly I can say confidently she's guilty of perjury.
Well, yeah, me too. I will say that.
Otherwise, right. I don't know. Yeah. Beyond that, there's a lot of evidence that suggests she had prior knowledge of what happened to John. That's the problem for her. She knows what happened, right? In my opinion. But I don't believe her to be a murderer, right? So Aiden, and I didn't know this till last night, and he'll be here to tell us this too. And I know I'm going to get sidetracked again if I say this, but so he has a little different belief than from me personally, and I didn't know that until last night. So I didn't understand why Jen was saying that people said she was a murderer or whatever. I didn't understand that. He thinks that the Google search, house long to die in the cold, he thinks that was obvious. I mean, he thinks exactly what it sounds like it would mean, that she was actually Googling like how long before he's going to die if we put him outside. Now that makes sense because that's the way it reads. That's not how I interpret that, because of the fact that I am aware that he was dead right away. I mean, I believe he was died within 15 minutes.
So you don't believe that it happened at 2:22?
No, I believe that she searched it. I just don't believe that she was searching it because they were going to put a person alive outside dead. I think they were very aware he was already dead. And the question was because they were trying to make it seem like he would have died of hypothermia, knowing that
I understand
he was
what
already
you're saying.
Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, but either way, though, if that's true, then she would be just as guilty because she knows what happened and potentially could have saved them. Not just as guilty, but at least
she didn't make
culpable.
Right.
Yeah, I don't believe that search took place at the time. I believe it took place amongst the groups of search that actually took place after they found them. There's not just one search. There's multiple searches relating to that actual search.
There's not actually, but that's okay.
There's two of them. Yes, there are. There's two.
No, there's not. There is not.
How long to die in the kitty? Right, like whatever the hell that was. Yeah, that took place.
But one is cut in place. You can't talk to me about this until you actually do a much more thorough investigation.
But,
no, you didn't. Stop.
But here's the thing, though. Even if you don't think, the problem with that piece of evidence is why I don't care, is because we can replicate exactly how the prosecutionists say it occurred. Meaning that if you open that tab and then search for something later, their system of detection at that time would pick it up as when the tab was originally open. I'm just talking technically. No, we do know that. We saw him do it live, and you could do it. There's a way to do it, right? So you can replicate
that's not what they did, though. But it's okay. That's not what they did. That is not what she did. That's not what Jen did.
Understand. I agree, but you understand, like, if you can replicate that legitimately. He did it live. No, but I do, because, like, if you can replicate it, then I'm not going to put so much weight into that piece, and we'll figure this case out using something else.
Right. But my point, I didn't bring this up to debate about it. Oh, we have Aiden here. Hold on, let me take this off. All right, let's bring in the man himself. We were just talking about you. Let me hide this. There we go. Hello, Mr. Aidan Kearney.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome. How are you?
Can't complain. How about yourself?
Well, I'm thinking you probably have a lot more to complain about than I do right now.
You know, I mean, I did beg for this lawsuit, so I can't really complain about it now, can I?
No.
How much of a loser?
I think that's in the lawsuit, is that I begged for the lawsuit. So I'd be kind of hypocritical if I complained about it.
Well, I'm such a loser, Aiden. I begged and I got no lawsuit.
Yeah, you got no love, Vince. Maybe. I mean, Danny's you're next, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. So how are you? What do you think? What are your first thoughts? As much as you can say, I know that obviously, you can only go into so much. What are your initial thoughts about all of this, about the lawsuit?
I I think it's the First Amendment. I mean, it's like I am 1,000. Here's my initial thoughts. What are you supposed to do in America if you are 1,000% convinced of something, right? And you believe it in your core, right? I believe it with like, I don't know how else to explain this. Like, I'm convinced. Like, if you put a gun to my head and it was like, was John O'Keefe killed inside that house? And if you get this answer wrong, you're dead. I'd be like, oh yeah, of course he was killed inside. I wouldn't even think about it. I'm like, yeah, no doubt about it. Like, no doubt. So if you firmly 1,000% believe in something, you can't vocalize that in the United States of America. You have to keep that thought to yourself. Like, no, I believe in this. What am I supposed to say? I'm convinced. I couldn't possibly be more convinced of anything in my entire life that he was killed inside that house. What am I supposed to do? Not talk about it?
Mm-hmm. Well, and also it's not just a random like thought that popped into your head, right? I mean, part of your job in all of this has been exposing the evidence that supported those beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like, this isn't based on nothing. This is based. Why did I start writing about this? Well, on April 10th, 2023, Alan Jackson filed a 94-page affidavit in this case that outlined all sorts of things, including the Google search that was deleted, all the deleted phone calls, the fact that John's Apple Health data shows him going up and down 3 flights of stairs, selling the dog, selling the house. I never heard of any of this stuff before, and I'm reading it all over. And there's this thing called exhibits. And it shows you that they're not making shit up. They have actual like reports, and like they're not pulling this out of their ass. I'm like, oh shit, these guys are legit. This is real. This is the implications start going through your head about shit. She Googled how long did the guy in cold at 2:27 a.m. She knows how bad that is, which is why she's denying it, because it means that you're involved in plotting a murder if you did that. Donna Adelson never hurt anyone, right? She didn't kill anyone. She didn't pull the trigger. She's a murderer, isn't she? She's a convicted murderer, right? It's just like, to me, it's like you plot something like that, you're just as guilty as the person that did it, no?
Right. Yeah. This is what we were just talking about before you jumped on. We were getting into the nitty gritty details of who did what when, which is, a whole other conversation, not really as important to this claim, right? Because the other thing that they're claiming is that you have essentially, you and Karen, that Karen knowingly put out this false claim, that you essentially disseminated it, right? And that then you brainwashed all of us.
I'm so good at it, man. I know. Too bad I'm not good at brainwashing her. We had a falling out. Like, I could have, kept her around, but.
Well, Aiden, at some point, Karen has to reach out to you or your representative, because you either need to coordinate a defense or go against each other. Has there been any communication?
I can't get into that publicly, but you are right.
Don't worry, no one's listening here.
It's our defense is simple. It's the truth. It's like Karen Reed didn't hit John O'Keefe with the car. They're claiming in this, which is so ironic, because they're defaming her and they're filing by saying she did it, even though a jury has already decided that she didn't. And so, yeah, I mean, Karen and I, whether or not personality conflicts, whatever, we're rolling in the same direction against the same people. We are being accused of the same thing, right? The same lies by these people. They're trying to harm both of us. And so I think it would be, in everyone's best interest to work together.
Has your opinion changed about the liability of little Colin Albert since you started?
No. I know you disagree with this, but why do I think Colin Albert was so involved? Why am I convinced of this? It's not because Karen Reed is very convinced that Colin was involved, but I'm more like, with me, it's more, why do I think he's so involved? Because of how hard they are trying to make sure he wasn't inside a house where nothing happened, right?
Exactly.
Nothing happened in the house, right?
I know.
So why are they trying so hard to convince us Colin wasn't there? And why did they hide it? Why was he not even spoken to by police for 18 months afterwards? And he lied on the stand. His knuckles didn't get like that from falling on the ice. People who have nothing to hide don't need to commit perjury in murder trials, right? I've never been so convinced of anything that, and also keep in mind that the two parents that are most involved in this, in like kind of making sure the public thinks no shenanigans are going on here, Jen McCabe and Chris Albert. Why those two? More than Brian Albert, right? Why those two? Because they have kids who are involved. They're also protecting their kids. Allie McCabe was a getaway driver that night. And also Chris Albert's testimony puts Colin at 34 Fairview Road at 12:31 a.m. If you go back and re-listen to Chris Albert's testimonies, he left the Waterfall bar at 12:14. It is an 8 or 9 minute walk to get back to his apartment. Okay. He gets back there earliest 12:24, 12:25, whatever. According to his own testimony, he waits 10 minutes and then he waits another 15 minutes. And then Colin walks in and says, "Night, night, Dad." That's 12:50. He says, according to his own testimony, he says Colin gets home at 12:50, right? Which means where was he at 12:30? It's it completely contradicts what Colin testified to. And so, I can use that. It's like, I believe 1000% everyone inside that house knew about what happened. As far as I'm concerned, they're all joint venturers, right? And in America, we're allowed to have that opinion and vocalize it, especially when it's based on facts.
Do you believe that Karen intentionally withheld the relationship with Higgy Bear from everyone initially?
Yeah, especially me. 100% she did. And, I'm not that happy about that, but whatever. I get it. She's embarrassed about it. But at the same time, it definitely, the focus was on, at least, Colin and Brian, by her. I don't know why. You'd have to ask her why she did that, but I can only opine that perhaps she felt some level of, I don't know, guilt. Like, she didn't kill John, but she kind of said, she dropped him off at a house where a man was inside who she was flirting with, right? And we don't know what John knew about that. And we don't know how upset Higgins was about this. Like, it takes a lot of balls to text a woman at a bar when she's standing next to her boyfriend. Like, she did that. Like, that was at 11:30. Like, they hadn't texted in well over a week, right? And he sees her right there, and like, John's right there, and John, and you're texting her. What if John saw that? Like, that's ballsy to do at the bar. And of course, he's drunk, and he's like, you didn't text her for like 2 weeks, and now all of a sudden you're just being all, well, what, motherfucker? Take a hit. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. This is complicated.
Aiden, I would say that there are literally only 10 people on this earth that could have killed John O'Keefe. You can include.
I know.
Yeah, so you can include. We can take out Chloe and include Karen, right? So there's 10 people, but of those 10 people, who had the biggest motive to kill John O'Keefe?
Brian Higgins.
Right.
100% Brian Higgins.
So this gets down to what?
That seems premeditation. There's also accidents. Like, I don't believe for a second that they planned to kill John O'Keefe.
No.
Agreed. No. Neither do I.
Anyone that could have knocked him over and caused his head to hit a stair or a cement ledge or whatever it was that caused that gash, right? And to me, it always made the most sense that Colin accidentally pushed him or caused that injury, because they got him out of there quick. Colin calls Aaron Beatty. Karen leaves at 12:31. Okay. At 12:33, he calls Aaron Beatty. And according to Tom Beatty, he believes, and I believe this makes sense, that he was looking for an alibi, right? He's looking for, can you say I was here? Blah, blah, blah. She doesn't. And I remember Tom Beatty told me, he's like, kids this age never call each other. They text. They would have, like, they don't even know the phone has a call function, right? And so he thought it was, like, Aaron especially thought that was very odd that Colin would call her. And so the next day she wakes up and she asks him, like, did you call? And he's just like, yeah, never mind. Like, it's just never mind. I don't need you anymore. And so it's like, it makes so much sense that he did something that accidentally led to this. And they're like, this kid's got his whole life ahead of him, 17, he doesn't deserve to lose it all over this accident, But I definitely believe that, like, in my theory has always been that he goes in there, gets lippy with Higgins, okay? And that, Brian Albert's homie, that's his boy. He's not going to allow his boy to be disrespected in his own house. We know Brian Albert's involved because the dog bit him. The dog is going to protect the owner, and that's Brian Albert. But I think Colin, this is just my theory. Again, I've always said I don't know who delivered it favorable, but I think that Colin is just a tough guy that wants to prove himself a little bit to his cool Uncle Brian.
Could be, for sure.
His dad, not Chris. I always thought that because, like, and I always thought, like, Brian wanted Colin to be his son and not Brian Albert Jr. for
sure.
Yeah. I just think
why do you say that?
For sure.
Well, I always said that. It's like nobody ever suspects that the 6'6" ogre, like the biggest person in the house, was involved at all, Brian Albert Jr. And you never knew why until he started testifying. He said, Auntie JJ. Oh, it all makes sense now. Okay, got it. You know?
I didn't know he was 6'6". I had no idea.
Huge. He's like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No way. I had no idea. That's fascinating. Okay, interesting.
He likes
you know
donuts,
that?
all the donuts.
I guess
we saw that new picture.
Yes. And
the new
cold
pictures
coffee.
that we had. He's in the background. I don't even think that Brian Albert's the real dad because this guy is so much taller than everybody.
He is.
They're not small though, right? Like Brian Albert's not small.
No, Brian Albert's probably like 6'2", but like, you know, a good, like probably like 260, 270, like, which is what makes it so utterly absurd that he's afraid of me. Brian Albert, Mr. Marine.
Oh,
Mr.
it's
Big Bad Marine and this and that. And I'm intimidated by Turtle Boy.
I mean, you wear those big platform shoes.
The platform shoes, right? That's it, right?
No,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think with him, like he didn't like the bullhorn in the mall, like that incident. You know, some of those incidents.
Yeah,
No,
I
you
do
didn't.
in the mall. You know, I'd never
You
seen
did not.
Brian Albert in the flesh until the trial. He was the one that was smart enough to just keep a low profile, unlike Jen McCabe, who insisted on going out like everything was normal, which is what really offended me the most about her behavior. Was that it's like we can all see it's in the report what you did, and you're out here going around gallivanting, going to kids' practices, holding court. Like that was so offensive to me because, like, you know, I would keep a low profile if all that shit was out there. Like, oh, this is not good. I'm gonna let this die out a little bit. But she insisted on just everything is normal, you know. And I think her lawyer Kevin Reddington told her to do that. Like everything's normal, act normal, and because you're innocent, like act like a normal innocent person. And I think that this lawsuit, in my opinion, is part of that. Like if you were wrongly accused of murder, right, you'd sue, right? So like they know. I don't even know if they think it's winnable. I just think
they have to
doing this because this is what an innocent person would do. If that makes sense.
I agree,
and I think that's why Brian Higgins is put at the last because I'm the one saying he's the one who's did it. Now, did you actually consider why Coco and Matt weren't named?
Because I've never called them murderers. And I always said that Matt McCabe's the guy, you know, at the barbecue working the grill. Like he's the guy flipping burgers, but he's not really like involved. Like he's goofy. Matt McCabe's a goofy guy.
He is goofy.
And, I mean, Nicole Albert's just cleaning, you know, and I mean, she's like, I couldn't believe when I heard her testify. When I heard her speak for the first time, I'm like, holy shit, this is Jen's sister. This woman sounds like she's seen some shit. Like beat up by life, like stress. Like she sounds like she smoked all the Newport 100s, all of them. And like just hates her life. And I always thought she was like the weak link. But yeah, I never called her. Although I did say that like anyone involved in this, as far as I'm concerned, is a joint venturer. Like, you know, when Aaron Hernandez went out and shot a guy, only one person pulled the trigger, but two people were there, right? And so it's like, how are you not? You're all guilty as far as I'm concerned.
I think that's probably true, though, right? I never thought about that. I always figured it would have been a conspiracy charge after the fact, but maybe not, right? I mean, if they all really did see what happened to John O'Keefe, they all could be charged with the same crime.
How could they not know? How could they not know? Like, so they all get there for this after party. It's going to be a great time, right? 12:30, and then this shit happens. And then they all wait an hour to leave, okay? They wait for Tristan to come pick her up. 1:45, they all skedaddle. Like, what kind of party is that? Why'd you guys even go there? You went there for an hour to hang out? Because no, they have to sit there. And I mean, picture how chaotic that scene was. Like, picture how Sarah Levinson, especially, was handling this. I mean, Julie Nagel's like fucking tough as nails. Not nothing I'm proud of this shit. I got you home. I got you out. You know, I had no idea how grizzled she was until she testified. But Sarah Levinson is a meek, mild, you know, young woman.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it took some convincing to just like, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. We know we're on this. You'll be good. Okay. It's the simplest story. He never came in the house. It's really that simple. Matt McCabe put it back. The guy never came in the house. It's that simple. And they're like, well, what's going to happen? I don't know. Like, they might not have even been trying to frame her. They'd be like, it's just, he never came in the house. It wasn't us. Like, maybe it was her. I mean, when she hit John's car and cracked that taillight, that was the biggest gift ever. Like,
oh, absolutely. Yes,
you know?
100%. When she said, I hit him, or no, could I have hit him? Could I have hit him? Whatever.
I don't even think she said that. Yeah, I I doubt she even said that. It makes no, it's not on the body cam. It's not on the dash cams.
It's true.
I doubt she even said that, but I mean, she might have. But either way, Jen McCabe's putting that thought in her head, and like, why would she think that this happened? Like, why would she possibly? Who would think that people would be so dark that they would kill him and then throw him on the lawn? Like, that thought's not going to go through your head.
No. And it made sense always to me, just seeing Karen's personality, that she might blame herself right away. So that part was never a thought in my head. It made perfect sense just with her personality overall, that she'd blame herself. Could I have done this by accident, didn't know it, over anybody else? Because certainly, who the hell is going to think the people in the house are responsible? Who would ever think that? Yeah,
it's just so dark that, like, I mean, that wouldn't even cross your head. Like, he was murdered in there. Like, and that's what makes the story, that's the only reason people don't support her, right? Is because they're just like, that is crazy. Like, that is crazy what they did. And it's just that these suburban, people that have their shit together, middle-class people, would do such a thing, but it's self-preservation. It's like, what would you do to save your own life? And it's like, and it's like, especially if it was an accident, which I truly believe it was. There's no way they lured him over there to kill him. Like, that makes no sense.
No, I don't know.
Because how do they know she's not coming in the house?
Right, right.
That couldn't be the plan. Something happened. John's drunk, shit-faced, okay? He's a big boy, and Brian Higgins is a big boy. When they go at it, it's like King Kong and Godzilla. A lot of shit, people are going to get hurt, okay, when something like that happens. These are not small men. And John doesn't seem like the kind of guy that backed down to me. I mean, I didn't know him, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that backed down. So I can totally picture this getting out of control, and an accident happens. He falls down, hits his head. It's a freak thing, 1 in a million. And then they got a dying cop inside their house, and they're like, fuck, what are we going to do here? And just tell him the guy never went in the house, as Matt McCabe said.
Yep.
That's a plausible thing.
Yeah. And Karen, I don't think, was a thing then. I wasn't until the next day when Jen comes back and is recounting the story, and Brian Higgins is there, and then they decide, oh shit, like, let's put this on Karen, right? Bring Lank back and let him know that Karen said she could have hit him or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, anybody, like, and they didn't feel bad about, like, they probably thought that she was going to take, you've heard their commentary. Carrie Roberts is like, we thought she'd get like 6 months or whatever. And, she's like, I would still be friends with Karen. I would forgive her. Like, that's the way they thought. Like, they didn't feel bad about it because they thought she wasn't going to get much anyway. And then the DA upped the charges to murder, and now we got a whole new ballgame. But now they're stuck in the lie, and by that point, they don't like Karen by that point. And you guys haven't seen this yet because we got a lot of discovery. Okay, we have all Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts text messages from January 9th to February 2nd, and let's just say it is a complete lie when Carrie Roberts says that she would have forgiven Karen Reed. No. They did not. As soon as she hired an attorney, they decided she was a bad guy for wanting to defend herself. And they make that very clear in their messages. And so they began to, especially, I mean, Carrie's stupid. She's also brainwashed. So she believes, Karen has killed her friend. And, by that point, turning on Karen Reed and having her indicted, it's like they were all in on the lie because they viewed Karen as defending herself as an attack on them. And so that they're like, oh, now they probably didn't feel as bad about framing her for this because, she's trying to come after us. So fuck her.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard for me to believe. So I know that, Vince, that you believe that Higgins is the most guilty. But when you look at the way they're all behaving now, it's hard for me to believe that. That's another reason why it's hard for me not to look in the direction possibly of Colin, because they're sticking together no matter what. If it was easy enough to separate one person out and say, oh, they are the responsible party, it seems like it would be too easy to hang one of them out to dry. And maybe now at this point because they're too deep or whatever, but it seems like if Higgins especially could have been separated away from everybody else as the most liable person, I just don't think that it would have played out this way all the way from the start.
So, Aiden, what's your plan with regard to prosecuting these 4 people? Because now you're in the position to do it. You can get discovery. Is there something that you really wanted to get but you haven't been able to, but now you can?
I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. We're in the process of hiring another attorney, like who's more, civil law attorney for this. Some of you experience with defamation. My 2 lawyers right now are criminal defense attorneys. They could do this, but like we need more. So they're still going to assist, but I don't know what the plan is right now. And I probably wouldn't say it on a show like this.
Don't worry. Just let them know.
You probably smack me.
Have you hired an attorney yet?
Putting these people on trial for the first time. Like, that is what we're going to do. If these people want to air this all out in court, we can air this all out in court again, because my defense, to no surprise, I can't deny saying these things, is going to have to be why I said these things, right? And you want to know why I said these things? Okay, let's start from the top. Let's talk about the 94-page affidavit. Let's talk about the fact that Karen Reed's car does not have a flight of stairs, yet John shows himself ascending and descending a flight of stairs right around that time. Like, I could go on and on and on about it, and I look forward to the opportunity to do that. And let's see who a jury believes, me or them. Let's see who they find more believable.
So right now you're interviewing attorneys, but do you have a limited amount of firms that you narrowed it down to?
Yeah, there's a short list. But
because I was telling Sam, I can't give you legal advice. You get your own attorneys, obviously, but you need to have the right team. It can't just be one attorney, a criminal attorney. You need to have the backing of, let's say, a Corey Hopkins firm, a larger firm, and this is expensive, obviously, but then a local person, and then obviously a trial attorney, because I doubt this is ever going to settle. So initially, you need to have someone, a firm, a real firm, like an Alessi's firm. I know that would be expensive, but something to that caliber to fight this on the papers. And I represented Aiden earlier. I won't fight. I won't file a slap, and I won't file a motion to dismiss. I will just go right to whatever they want. I'll stay in their forum even. So you, on the other hand, need to do the exact opposite, in my opinion. You have to get your own legal advice, where you need to have a large firm that can really combat them on the papers.
Yeah, this isn't going to be some like the lawyer that represented Meredith at our lawyer. It ain't going to be a lawyer. It's going to be like a real legit lawyer with experience. It's going to cost money, which is unfortunate, but we can raise it, we need, because this is a lot. This is complicated, and you need somebody who isn't afraid of the public spotlight, who isn't afraid of the cameras, because there's going to be a lot of that, who isn't afraid to have parody Twitter accounts made at them that post where their kids go to school and stuff, because that's going to happen. You sign up as an attorney, you're going to be attacked online. So you have to have thick skin, and it would be helpful if we don't have to catch you up on this. If you are familiar with the Reed case, maybe not every detail, but we can't start from scratch here. We need somebody who is passionate about this, who believes that not only am I innocent, but that Karen Reed is innocent, because that's the basis of my speech, is Karen Reed is innocent. I need somebody that believes in this, who's like Alan Jackson isn't just doing this for money. He believes in it. He believes in Karen Reed. And Tim Breda believes in me. And so that's what we need. We need a lawyer who believes in it and is just passionate about me and the First Amendment.
Yeah, so if you want to support Aiden, you can go to defendingthetruth.org. I made a big contribution last night, Aiden, to the defense team, defendingthetruth.org, and help them out. Now, is there a spot where we can go now to start helping you fund this?
Yeah, we have a Give, Send, Go. I forget what the URL is for that. If you just search Turtle Boy Give, Send, Go, it will pop up, and you can donate that way. If people would like, that would, every little bit helps. But we're going to be looking to organize a massive fundraiser. I want to do one of those glare 12-hour streams. It's weird because I'll be doing it for myself. Usually somebody else hosts it for you, but fuck it, I'll just do it on mine. I don't care. And I want to do it tentatively. I want to do it May 17th, which is a Sunday, from 12 to 12, with the goal of $50,000. Right? That's what I want to raise in one day. And so I'm going to have guests. You're both formally invited on. If you'd like to join me. And we'd like to get it organized and done that way. So
we would
Can
be
I
honored.
recommend shifting that date to Mother's Day?
You must have watched last night. Huh? Yeah. Well, no, I didn't realize Mother's Day was that big of a deal. I don't know. I'm like,
that was funny.
That's not.
Yeah, like it's like an all day. It's like you can watch later, you know, like you can watch it on replay. You don't have to watch it live too. But yeah,
Holy shit! I've never seen an audience turn so quick as to when you mentioned that it was Mother's Day, and all of a sudden the chat went nuts.
Yeah,
that you were. How dare you schedule anything on Mother's Day?
I don't want to fuck with my chat. That's like my support system. So I'm like,
no, you can't fuck with the chat.
They want, you know?
No. The mothers of the world are your supporters, so you got to listen to that group for sure.
Yeah,
Aiden, we take some questions from our audience here. If you want to ask Aiden a specific question, super chat it in. We'll get to it. You had mentioned earlier that Yannetti and Alessi sort of had a falling out with Alan Jackson. Is there any truth to that?
Not Alan, Karen.
Who then?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, I was there the night it happened. They were. Let's just say that. Happy about. She's Karen Reed's an innocent person. Okay, she didn't do anything.
No, we know, but there's a falling out between whom? Yannetti and Karen?
Yes.
Okay. That has nothing to do with the text messages?
No.
Okay.
It has to do with the fact that Yannetti and Alessi interviewed with the media shortly after the verdict. That was the beginning of it.
Oh, with all of us, media.
Didn't like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, got it.
So I don't. Again, it's. I got there I guess there was a big. You know, when I got to the victory dinner that night, I guess it had just blown up. You know, so I didn't witness it myself, but I don't know. I told Karen. You know, she's the one that told me about it. Actually, she's the one that told me about it. And my advice to her was, people love David Yannetti. Like you gotta like people like David Yannetti. I don't know if they talk now. I have no idea. It's none of my business. But I'm like, people love David Yannetti. So keep him. That was my advice.
So this fight happened before that actual dinner?
During, it sounds like.
It. Yeah.
Were you at the dinner, so you would have seen it?
Yeah, but
he was there.
I got there late. So we got there like over an hour after it started. So I don't know she's the one that told me this. I mean,
was Yannetti there when you got there?
Yeah, Yannetti was there with his wife, and so was Alessi with his wife and his two daughters. I sat next to his daughters at the dinner, and Dave confirmed as well. So again, it's between them, you know. But
that doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I don't want to get involved, but you know, that's just what she told me. So she offered up this information to me. So you know, I didn't witness it myself, but my advice to her was that people love David Yannetti, and Bob Alessi just, you know, basically did all of the most complicated witnesses. In your case, the nerd stuff, the most technical stuff, for free. And he works for a New York City law firm where he probably charges $1,500 an hour. And just like, I'm like, so my advice to her was, get over it. Like, it's like if you're upset with them, you got to work it out, you know?
Well, and also they just worked their faces off. I mean, you know, they just helped her to become free, you know, I mean, but anyway, this is not that important.
Yeah, it's like, it's none of my business.
Mine either.
You know, but it's already been
I love it.
There was you know, I don't know all the details. I don't, you know, it's between them. But I like Karen, I like David, I like Bob, and you know, I hope they can get along.
Well, and now especially, I mean, look, here's the thing, right? Like you know, you were saying this, Vince, earlier. All the bullshit aside, everybody here supports both of you. We are all now, especially more than ever, 100%, and anything that we can do behind you guys to help you fight this. I guess one question for me, and maybe you don't know the answer, it's too premature. Karen already has a suit going against these guys. Does this somehow, are these completely and utterly separate? I mean, there's going to be evidence that overlaps. Like, how does that work?
With her lawsuit, I don't know. And how does it work with my witness intimidation thing too? That's another question. It's like, now all these people have a financial incentive to have me convicted, right? So I don't know. It's like, and then I feel like Diller feels like he's being left out of all this. Like, it's like, what about me? Like, I got to notice a deposition the other day. Obviously, I can't be deposed if I still have my trial coming up, but you know,
this is crazy.
Yeah,
you can plead the fifth the whole time and waste everyone's time in that situation, but you would probably have to in that.
Yeah,
right. They try and make you.
Yeah, and what is the latest with that, Aiden? bring us up to speed on the witness intimidation. What is going on there? What happens next?
So we have our motion to dismiss with the mega motion on May 14th.
Okay, coming up.
Yeah, we have that, and we'll make our oral arguments in court. The judge will have the chance to see it, and he'll have the chance to read it, and if he thinks it's warranting of a dismissal. I mean, the big thing is that they lied to the grand jury, because that's the only way you can get indictments dismissed, apparently, is like grand jury shenanigans. And they lied to the grand jury about what the titles of my shows were called. And like, for instance, they're like episode 585, Destroying Colin Albert's Life. It's like, bro, the show was not called that. The show was called Exposing Corruption in Canton, which is like it came from a folder that they called Intent, right? And it's like, so you're literally saying this is my intent, was to destroy Colin Albert's life. A juror hears that, a grand juror hears that, and they're like, well, that's pretty probable cause, right? Because intent is important. So
of course,
the judge sees that and dismisses these. But I won't hold my breath. I'm prepared for a trial either way.
Yeah, I heard the title was Daddy Loves Reverse Cowgirl, according to one of the users here. Is that true?
I can't believe that was right. That was played in court. I really can't believe that was played in court. That was like, it's like the judge hearing that, like, he didn't understand it. It's like, people go on here and they listen to him talk about this. Like, this is harassment. It's like, no, Your Honor, he's just like that. Like, that's just how he talks about everything. He's got no filter, and he like says shit. And it's like, and she knew that when she went into a relationship. She went out with Turtle Boy. Like, what the hell?
Well, that was part of why we don't need to get into this, but that's part of why she was with you. Yeah.
I mean, exactly. So it's like, I was in jail. Like, you saw that a guy in jail, like, from a previous relationship that went kaput. So yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that's over. And hopefully we can focus on this and this stupid lawsuit, and that's it.
Well, congratulations on that being
Aiden,
over, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
That your mom was an attorney. She went to Notre Dame Law School.
Really?
Law School.
Yeah.
And did your dad go to an Ivy League school too?
Yeah, he graduated. He went to Yale for biochemistry. That's where he got his PhD. But he went to graduate school at Notre Dame. So he got his master's in Notre Dame and his bachelor's in Notre Dame. That's where they met.
Which parent is more disappointed in you?
Probably my mom. I mean,
really?
Yeah. I mean, she passed away a little over 2 years ago, so it's disappointed from above. Now that she's passed away, she knows everything I've hid from her, right?
That's right.
So, like, she knows that. She knows it all now, and that's one of the first things I thought of. Shit. She's gonna know that. That's why, like, she died before I could, like, admit that I lied to her about some things. And I'm like, right. Yeah, I confessed that to her before she died.
I think she's probably.
What was your biggest lie to her?
There was, like, I had some beef with with the landlord, who stole my keg. I swear to God, I had a keg of beer in my apartment, and she had this thug boyfriend. I came home one day, the keg's gone. I'm like, the keg just didn't disappear. So then they were like, I don't know who did it. I'm like, oh, we're playing stupid now. Okay, gotcha. So I had like a feud going with my landlord, and we put some, on my way out, they had like those drop ceilings. So we put some ground beef in there as like a going away prank, right? And I guess a week later, it went exactly how we thought it would go. The drop ceiling is like leaking, and she called the police, and I was charged with malicious destruction of property. We got a quaff on it, but like I told my mom, I'm like, I don't know how to meet. I think they did. Yeah. I did not do that, and now she knows I did it.
All right, let's ask some questions.
She'll probably forgive you. She'll forgive you.
We have questions from our audience here.
Miss Emily C. is a member for 6 months. Hello, Emily. She says, I nominate Sam for Turtle Boy and Karen Reed therapy mediation. I don't know, man. That would be a tough one, I think. I'm happy to do it, but I think that would be a big job. Thanks, Emily, though, for offering me for that. I don't know. Mr. G70 sends $2. Says, do you believe that Tristan drove Caitlyn?
Yeah, is that in dispute?
There's dispute. Yeah, there's some dispute. Yes.
How else
I mean,
would
we
you
can get
know?
into it.
How else would
Well, her car there, because it's my belief, this is a really long story, we don't have to get into it, but I think Caitlin was living there. That actually, she hadn't moved officially into Tristan's apartment yet. So, and this is all goes back to like, why was Brian Higgins lying about the Jeep? What is your theory about that, by the way? Why would he lie about the Jeep?
I mean, I think it's to make it for a way to discredit the testimony of Ryan Nagel and the two other people in the car. Because if there was a car there, it would have obstructed their view of what they saw in Karen's car. And, you know, I think to discredit their testimony.
That's interesting. I've never
never
heard
that
anybody
before.
say that. It's an interesting theory.
Makes sense, right? I mean,
could be. It certainly could be.
Ryan Nagel's testimony was problematic, very problematic.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%.
then
And
whatever
Aiden, whenever you get to your attorneys, remember that Judd Welcher, their expert, did not believe that Jeep was there. In fact, that's what he testified to. So they have huge credibility issues. That's Jen McCabe. Anyone that said that Jeep was out front, their own expert doesn't believe them at the actual hearing. Judd Welcher went through and said there was no Jeep there. He heard about it, but according to his analysis, there's no Jeep there.
Yeah, it's just such a weird lie because it's like I always wonder. Everybody wonders.
It's a very weird.
It means something. We don't know for certain.
It definitely means something. Like there's no way they all just came up with this. And to me, that was the only thing that made sense. Anything they could do to make Ryan Nagel's testimony seem less, impactful, I think.
So helpful. One of the reason why this connects to Caitlin, just so you are aware, is because one of the theories is that Caitlin had a Jeep Cherokee. It was kind of white, I think, and he has a Jeep Wrangler that's kind of white. So the thinking is perhaps she had pulled up or Tristan had pulled up in her car, which or both or whichever, and because it had been pulled in front of the house for some short period of time, he puts his Jeep there to try to cover for her having had her car in front of the house, maybe to get the dog out more easily, something along those lines. So that's the,
Makes sense. Yeah.
a theory.
Yeah, I mean, all I know is there's no way the Jeep was there. It's impossible.
No way the Jeep was there.
No, would have crashed into her. Her momentum would have kept her, well, obviously she didn't do it in reverse anyway. So, but yeah, Ryan and Nagel, there's no way sweet Heather Maxon would ever say such a thing. I do wonder about Heather Maxon. I've heard from good sources. I've met Ricky D'Antano's brother, right? And Ricky D'Antano was with us outside. His brother was on the sidewalks outside of the court, and Rick. I think Ricky believes Karen Reed is innocent. I don't know what Heather Maxon thinks, but Ryan Nagel I thought was on her team until I met him outside of CF McCarthy. He was a huge jerk to me. He was.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm like, Ryan, I liked you.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of Kim. Get the fuck out of Kim.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. To me, this took me a while to come to, but to me, what happened there was Colin sees you guys going into CF McCarthy's. He assumes that there's going to be some nefarious intent that you're coming to hurt his dad's pizza shop. It seems like he calls Julie and that they come down to protect the shop.
They were already inside CF McCarthy's. So we never this idea to go there, okay? Because we had a gift card. Now, we were doing work. So we were doing research. We were going up and we drove Karen Reed's route on Cedar Crest, and we had 3 phones to map the Apple Health data because Nicholas Garino had just testified that day that the phone said it went up and down 3 flights of stairs because there was such a dip on Cedar Crest or whatever street that was on. And so we drove it and we tested out to see if it would go up. That's why we were there. And then we were hungry. And so when you're hungry, you get food. And so we went to this restaurant, let's go to CF McCarthy's, because why wouldn't we go there? The French fries were delicious. And so we parked to get to there. We had to walk past D&E Pizza. Colin Albert's coming out at that exact moment, as luck would have it. And I'm like, you got it. And then he says something to us. He's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, hey, man. And so I started filming just for my own protection because I don't like any he said, she said. And he's like, he runs back inside and he goes, call the cops, Dad. And then we get inside CF McCarthy's and Julie Nagel's sitting across the bar with some guy who turns out to be her brother, Sam. And we see her taking pictures of us that later get posted or whatever. And so then they came over. I go to the bathroom at the end there, and next thing you know, Sam Nagel is coming over and he's talking to Meredith. And I go and I introduce myself to him. Hey, I'm Aiden. How you doing? He was all friendly with me and everything. And then so they leave. We leave 15 minutes later. And when we go out, it's like, Sopranos outside of Cetriol's. Like they're all sitting there, shooting the shit. And like in their chairs, a couple of them are standing up with their arms crossed. They're all out there and they start saying shit to us. And then Sam Nagel comes over and he touches Meredith. Okay.
Yeah.
And here I am, like testing me, like I'm gonna touch your girl. What are you gonna do about it? Like, and I'm like, this is a trap. They are trying to get me to push him so that, I can get my bail violated. I'm not falling for that. So I started filming, and I said, it's all on tape. I'm like, don't touch her, man. Don't touch her. He's like, just a little touch. He goes, just a little touch. Joe, just a little touch. Okay, gotcha. But that video is great because Julie Nagel's in it, and so is Chris Albert. And Julie Nagel's probably the most sympathetic victim of mine prior to this. And, they are harassing me. They're harassing her. Chris is in it, Colin's in it, and they're like saying, oh, you're pregnant, huh? Oh, you're going to kill yourself. Your boyfriend's going to jail, this and that, acting all big and bad and tough. And Chris Albert says, I would smash your head up and down this sidewalk. But he's so scared.
If I could.
I didn't say I would. I said I could. Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying, Chris. And then his sister-in-law pulls up like a screaming bitchy. And his delivery man assaulted me. Jim Farris. They both got charged with assault and battery, and had their cases swept under the rug. But still,
One of the things she says though in there that was so important. That video is really important, by the way. There's a lot of information in that video. She says, they're so desperate. I don't know if you noticed that, but like she is so desperate to get you to go away. Like, why do you care? You didn't know John. Why do you care, right? She's pleading with you in that voice. She's so angry and so desperate, she hits you. Think about how angry you have to get to literally be physical with a person like that. Like, and even Chris Jr., even he is kind of pleading with you if you really watch him carefully, because that's what I do, right?
He's the biggest instigator of them all, Chris Albert Jr., and I didn't know who he was. And he was like a fender.
Right.
You know who I am?
You know who I am. Yeah.
You're like a bit character, dude. I don't, you're not that important. I don't know.
Well, you played it all wrong. You should have introduced them and gave your blessing for them to date Meredith. That would have really shown.
No, you are on paper, bro. Well, Jill Daniels was pretty pathetic. Like, she was right. Like, she's like, when she rolls up, Meredith starts saying something to her.
Yeah, they're fighting.
She goes, didn't you go loopy? Didn't you go loopy there? Where's your top lip? Where's your top lip?
Oh, these people are nuts, man. They really are. All right, so wait, I have
what
a
other
case
questions
question.
We got for this?
I want to ask him this important question though too. Sorry, we'll get to these. This is a case question. So, okay, important. Why did you come to the conclusion that they were telling the truth about the 4 girls that left the house before Karen and John pull up? I mean, what evidence was there?
What, like Catherine Judy and them?
Yeah.
Because Karen's team never really suggested that they were there. There was no court filings that suggested they were there. So I think if Karen's team believed that they were there or involved, they would have made that pretty clear. I don't know why they would have left or where they were never interviewed. Emily Fabiano, but their names were all spelled wrong. And one of them was Catherine Duty, whose father was the fire chief at the time and then became the town manager, very influential person in town. Her name was spelled wrong in the police report. Her first and last name. It's probably the most recognizable name after Albert in Canton, and her name was spelled wrong. And that's how I knew that this is not an accident. Like this is an intentional cover up. All the things that they're covering up here. And I spoke to other cops who were like, spelling is critical on these reports. We don't spell things wrong, especially not that many times, like that many names.
Yeah, that's total bullshit. I have a question before you get to from somebody. Besides Tuesday on the Foreskin Girls, who do you find most attractive?
Do I have to say it?
No.
Yes. Yes. Besides Tuesday.
Well, I always had a thing for Peg Bundy. Okay.
The redhead.
No, but she's gonna let that go to her head. I mean, she's
no. That's who Canton John likes too. I'm not sure if I should say that, but he does like her too. That's just.
I don't like her. To be very clear, but
you do.
You forced an answer. To be fair,
I certainly wouldn't pick Lydia, gray-haired Lydia. Like, that'd be the last one.
I don't know. I'm getting more attracted to her as the days go
Okay.
by. She's so
All right.
angry.
Can we ask these questions now?
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
could Julie and Chris be the people flowing in? They were on the first police report, and Matt said Julie was excited to see us. Hi, Bite My Bits. That's for you, dear.
Flowing in. I mean, I know some people have suggested that Chris was at the house for this. I don't think he was, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
me
think I
neither.
believe his story that he just walked home. I don't know. I just have a hard time believing Chris was there.
Agreed.
Yeah. That's a good question. Hold on a second, Aiden. I'm trying to get everybody here, and it keeps moving. All right, here we go. At Chicago Marie 312 sends $9.99. Aiden, what would be the first thing you do when all these lawsuits are behind you and you are victorious? That's a great question.
I don't know. It's going to be like a new reality. Like for 2.5 years, I don't know what it's like not to be out on bail. I don't know what it's like to like not worry about the next, thing that's going to drop or whatever. But I'll just take like a deep breath and just enjoy the moment and just taunt people on Twitter. Like then the gloating will begin. And I'm keeping this. We'll have a whole file of gloating that will come up.
That's right. Maybe a vacation might be, eventually something like that could be, right?
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
that might be. It's just definitely. I mean, it's hard to have vacations, with my line of work and kids and everything, but I do.
I know it is. Sometimes it can be harder to go on vacation than it's worth the vacation, really. No, it's true. At the Helena, send 65 something. I'm not exactly sure what SEK stands for, but thank you. What is it?
Shekels? I don't even know what that is.
Shekels? I don't know, but thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. So she says, you have an army behind you, Aiden. We will support you for as long as it takes. You did nothing wrong. Free Turtle Boy. Love the show, you guys. Thank you so much. Yes, it's true. Without a doubt, you do have an army behind you, and we will, one good thing that you certainly are an incredible fundraiser. So thank God for that. Thank God.
We need a better name though, Aiden. You can't just have people Googling whatever that website is. We got to figure that out.
Yeah, somebody repurposed it and they accused me of doing it. I want to say it was like freekarenreed.net or something or .org, and it redirected to my website and they accused me of doing it.
Oh, really? The Defending the Truth one?
No, it was like freekarenreed.org or something like that.
Free Karen Reed. Sorry.
My fundraiser. It does, yeah. Freekarenreed.org goes to my thing. Now I want to be very clear. I did not set that up. I don't know how to do that. If you've ever watched,
Well, who cares?
show,
It gets to your thing though, where we can actually donate money
but
to
it
your
seems
free.
deceptive. It seems like people looking to support Karen Reed. Would you be? I didn't do that. But if it works, it works.
Yeah. Well, now, right? Yeah. Does this get? So how does that work? I guess you have your own attorneys because you're both named. So it's not one. It's one lawsuit, but two people that have to bring their own representation. Is that how that works? Yes.
Yes, if there's not a conflict, and if there is a conflict, both Karen and you can waive it if it's allowable. Certain conflicts you can't waive, but I'm pretty sure that you could have the same attorney. I just don't know what your plan is with her.
With Karen?
Yeah, for this particular lawsuit.
I don't know either. Again, I want to be very clear. Like I 1000% support Karen Reed, even though we've had personal differences before. I'm always going to support her because she's innocent and she never should have been have to have been through this or anything like that. I'm sorry that through my own personal decisions, right, and then poor choices that our relationship has become fractured. But I'm always in her corner.
Yeah.
Well, at least you make the right choices in women, so that's a good thing.
Hopefully there's a learning curve here, Aiden. Hopefully you're learning. Because I give you a pass. You've gotten a lot of attention very quickly, and it's all women. And I've seen you in walking around Canton, and I've seen just women just flock to you to take pictures. Women of all ages and sizes and shapes, and so I imagine that you get a tremendous amount of attention just moving from point A to point B through life. And so you get a pass, on the women that have already taken place. But I would hope that there's a learning curve and that you're integrating the learning.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is don't be weary of anyone who wants attention. Anybody who wants to be known as Turtle Boy's girlfriend, be very careful of that. That doesn't mean I can't have a girlfriend or anything like that, but be wary of anybody that wants the public to know that, because that's not normal. If you want to be known as like Turtle Boy's girlfriend, like out there, like that means you're inviting yourself to be a target of scorn. That you are inviting, you know what I mean? That you like drama in general. And so I'm mindful of that moving forward.
I also think it's insecurity. It's like, I want him to know that there is a woman so that you leave him alone.
Oh, that was a big thing. Meredith made me do that. I did a hostage video in May of 2024. Like, she was all mad that I wasn't like publicly stating that she was my girlfriend. And she's like, you're only doing this because you don't want people to think, you want women to think you're single and blah, blah, blah. And so I went on there. I'm like, listen, everybody, public service announcement. Well, it's pretty obvious because she's wherever I go. Meredith O'Neill is in fact my girlfriend, and I am spoken for. So no more panties in the mail, please.
Oh, that's so funny. I think I did see that.
I do love the move that you did, leaving your key fob behind so that you have an excuse to go back the next day and talk with her. They did a whole Seinfeld episode on that.
It's just so absurd. Like, I know I put that key fob on the table. I know I went to bed and then it was gone. Like, bro, can I just leave? That was
I believe you.
They shared the videos of that night the other night. I'm like, do you think that makes me look bad? Okay, if whatever you say, you know, this night from hell. But like I said, I'm glad that it's over.
It's over.
Through it. So.
Yes, right. We all live, we learn. Ocean's Daughter 9885 since 499 says, was the Albert's basement floor replaced or not? I still think John was attacked in the basement.
You know, that's what I've been told. You know, I mean, I did get that information from Alan Jackson, that the basement floor had been removed, but it was never really, but by who was the question? We assumed it was Moratis, but he actually, you know, one of the things I was asked, like, if you have any more information on that, let us know. And I put feelers out. He's like, we've been reliably informed that the basement flooring was removed. But then again, if the new theory is he was in the garage, then what does it matter if the basement flooring was removed, right? So they never really disputed that, though. McAlbert's never disputed the basement floor being removed. So it makes me think it's credible.
Right. Yep. Okay. So in other words, the new owners are the ones that would have known about the basement being renovated, right? Obviously, because they bought the house. That's
yeah.
Okay.
I like the new owners. Like, I mean, I've met the new owners. I met. They like their privacy, but they like me for whatever reason because I've met them and I introduced myself properly. I wasn't like Kof and Doofus, just ding dong ditch, get up there, run away like the Pink Panther.
That was our plan.
I rang the doorbell. I introduced myself to her.
Oh.
You know, I said that just to let you know, like I'm outside. We were doing a test. We were like, I did the reverse thing. I did 62 feet in reverse to see. And I'm like, just so you know, I'm doing like a test outside your house. I'm not gonna go on your property, but like, I just don't mind me. I just wanted to let her know.
What's the demographics of the new owner? White.
She's Asian. So there's two Asian houses. Asian house next to an Asian house now. Yeah.
She's like, that leads me to another question, Aiden. Besides the Celtics, are there any black people in Massachusetts?
There are.
There are? I've never seen any.
You didn't see it a lot in the Freak Out Read movement, but there were some. Towards the end, there was more and more. You know, probably like 5% of the people that were there were people of color. But you know, yeah, you're right. It was a very white movement, which was too bad because it dealt with topics that were, you know, central to the Black Lives Matter movement, and that is like police corruption and whatnot. But it just kind of like to me, it showed me that like, well. It's like you guys are BLM is anti-police corruption, but only as it pertains to black people. If it's a white person like Karen, who's the victim of police corruption, they just disappeared.
That's a good point. I never even thought about any of that until this moment, but you're absolutely right. There was definitely a sea of white faces at the verdict watch for sure. At Random Brockton Horror says, to go back to the 227 search, isn't Loophole correct? Weren't there several searches, one at 227 and 2 more searches at the scene after 6, and weren't all 3 deleted by Jen?
I don't think she deleted the 624 one, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, wasn't there 3? Yeah, there was a search at 620. So she does the one at 227 for Hostline to Diane Cold. She realizes what a mistake that is. And so she's like, I have to, when the opportunity strikes, this is going to be my plan to make it seem like, and it worked. That literally was her defense. No, I did it at this time. And so when she Googles it at 623, it was how Haas long tick die, like she spelled it
Die
wrong.
in the kitty, right? You said it was kitty.
And it's like she realized that fucked up, and then 30 seconds later, she did it misspelled the correct way, which is Haas long to die in cold. And so clearly the most logical reason anyone can give for her doing that is because she realized what a mistake it was at 2:27, and this was her creating like it would make sense if she Googled it at 6:24, kind of, but not really. It would make sense. Like, it's still weird that you got first responders every year and you're asking Jeeves how long it takes to die in the cold. You couldn't just ask the lady in the ambulance like Karen did, you know? But yeah, so to me that made no sense. It's not on video. Carrie lied to the grand jury about hearing that, of course.
Yep.
And it just made, you're doing that instead of going inside to make sure your sister wasn't murdered by the same person who murdered the guy in the front lawn. You're not worried that inside that house where you know an aggressive dog is that's not barking for some reason, despite all these first responders in the lawn, 7 people in there and there's just darkness and there's a dead guy. You're not worried that they're not okay. You're not running into that house for 30 more minutes. You're Googling shit. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And random Brockton horror. There's if you go check out Aussie Insider, check out some of the software developer programmer folks. Like, they can give you a lot more of the details about what evidence there is inside the reports themselves that were messed with possibly after the fact. That's why I said that earlier. So, but you got to be like, you really have to have your, rocket science thinking cap on to be able to have that conversation, because you have to know the language, the programming, you have to be able to speak it. Those guys operate at a higher level of intelligence than the rest of the world. So go check it out, but definitely be ready to think extensively when you do. So,
yeah. So was that a question? Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, you answered it. Thank you.
You answered it.
Do you have a little more time? Because we got a few more questions.
Yeah,
here.
shoot.
Let me see.
All right.
Always time for you guys.
Oh, well, we appreciate it. We really do. I'm holding on. Did you ever ask the owners about the rock? Oh, that's a good question.
No,
Jerry.
I didn't. Last time I talked to her was in like August or September, and it was a weird conversation. Like, she reached out to me and wanted to talk on the phone, and I talked to her, and she was like talking about like ways in which she could monetize like the house.
On the
And
house.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Really? That's awesome.
And I'm like, I'm
She's-
the wrong guy to talk to about that. I don't know.
Is she single or is a family?
But she's married. She's married with a kid, at least one, maybe more. I don't know.
But
she
that's
did,
great news.
That house
I mean,
was a shit. Like, when she bought it, like, they did not take care of that house. And she's invested a lot into that house, and I assume dramatically increased the value. She's a flipper. This is what this woman does. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So,
Maybe
question
we
about
give
that.
paid tours. What do you think?
I think that's
Paid
what she
tour.
was leaning towards. Like, she wanted to brainstorm with me ways, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'm the wrong guy to talk to about that.
That's amazing.
I'm like, if you'd like to let me in the house, I'd love to go. I didn't ask her, but I would love to go in the house and just take a look around.
It certainly would be helpful, right? Just to kind of feel out the space.
Imagine it's like going to Dealey Plaza, or something like that. It's just like, wow, this where it went down, or like Ford's Theater. Like, this is
totally, yeah. This is it. This is where it went down. Absolutely. That's kind of what it feels like, even just visiting the waterfall or C.F. McCarthy's, whatever. I had a question. Oh, is it true? I think you said this before, but is it true that she did not know about this when she bought the house?
That's true. She did tell me that she was not happy. My conversation with my first one, I'm like, did you know about this? She's like, no. And I'm like, and I'm not too happy about it, she told me. And
I bet.
The person who sold the seller was Ravis Realty. It's like McAlbert friendly realty group. And one of the realtors, I believe, or like works for them, is Renee Roberts, who was a family member of Kerry Roberts. And so this is a very McAlbert friendly real estate company. And like I said, they put the house on the market for $950,000, which is insane. I mean, it's a good sized house. It's 5 bedrooms, 24 square hundred feet, whatever. But like, you put that house in my town, I live about an hour away in Holden, which is Worcester County. And you put that house in Holden and you're not selling it for over $700,000. Like, and It's because Canton is one of the most desirable communities to live in because it's where I-95 intersects with 93. It literally abuts Boston. It is accessible. It is nice. Like, so you're paying, like the fact that it's in Canton makes the house more valuable. But so 950, they put it on the market for, they sold it for 900, but now I'm sure it's worth well over $1 million now.
It's not a great spot. So that's another reason why I always doubted Brian Higgins. I mean, I know he didn't park on the Jeep there, but also it's not a great spot to put your car because that house is on like a curve, right? And it's not a big road in front of there, and it's pretty well driven.
Makes no sense. The driveway is huge. You could fit like 10 cars in that driveway. Like it's a mega driveway, you know? And of course, they strike me as the type of people too, like that. This always annoys me when people do this, when they have like a nice garage and you don't park your car in it because it's just filled with your junk. Like, garages are for parking, okay?
Yeah. And dead bodies.
Yes, and dead bodies. Or growing weed.
And it's pronounced garage, by the
way.
Garage.
Yeah, forget.
Garage. Lisa asks, sends $5, asks, how can we help you get your message out to First Amendment protectors who are outside of the FKR sphere? Any content you'd recommend sharing? That's helpful, Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, I think pinned to the top of my Twitter profile is a video I did summing up what my charges are and how ridiculous. I recommend everybody watch it because you see how much they had to lie in order. It's my own words, right? But it's what they take the things I say out of context and they cut out portions of it and they leave out major context. And so, like, you know, one of the things, it sounds bad. Like, so one of the things, the one that stands out the most is Colin Albert. And that is, I saw that we've all seen the Bang Bang video, right? And I called Colin on my program and he didn't answer. And I left a voicemail. And I said, you know, hey, Colin, it's Turtle Boy from them Advantage Boys. Bang, bang. You know, thugs up. You know, we the hardest dudes in Sharon. We're going to, it's a joke. Right? And so, but when you read that out, when Ken Mello was reading it out in court, and he's like, so the defendant said, yo, Colin, it's Turtle Boy from them Advantage Boys. We gonna fuck you dogs up. Bang, bang. And then the judge is hearing this, and he's like, wow, he said that? I'm like, yeah, but the delivery's all wrong. It's not funny when he does it. It's an impression, Your Honor. You don't understand. He made TikToks where he does the Bang Bang video. It's like, you got it. And they know that. And it's like they intentionally took stuff like that, and they just misrepresented everything. I'm like the most harmless dude. Okay, I'm not. I kept to myself outside during the C.F. McCarthy's incident. I've never physically threatened anyone. I've never assaulted anyone. None of these people. They're always saying how I'm small and whatever, and like, but yet they're all claiming to be scared of me. But they're not. I've said that they should be scared of me, not physically though. I said because of my journalism and because of the things that I'm exposing about them, I would be more scared of that because it could put you in jail. I'd be much more scared of jail than getting punched in the face because, you know, bruises heal and chicks make scars. But like you go and you go to jail. I mean, that's the biggest fear in the world.
So far, you've been the only person that really served a significant amount of time. What was the scariest thing that happened to you in your jail?
I mean, the scariest thing was being sentenced. I mean, that was the scariest thing was when you realize you're going to jail. That was like the most. It was on my birthday too, you know. I'm like, oh, what? I couldn't believe it was happening. I was just in shock. But inside,
we get that, but something crazy must have happened while you were there.
No, because I was like so isolated. They treated me like a Fabergé egg in there. Which made it worse because you're so isolated that you have no one to talk to. You're in a cell 21 hours a day. It was like punishment. And I was like, you know, I wanted to go to Gen Pop because when I remember I had court on January 8th. I'd been in there for 15 days and I was talking to some other guy in the holding cells downstairs inside the courthouse. And I'm like, yeah, so what unit are you in? He was telling me about it. And this guy's like been in jail his whole life. And I'm like, so what do you guys do there? And he's like, we play chess. We do this, we do that. I'm like, I'd like to play chess with someone. I'm fucking bored as shit. And I'm like, you know, I'd rather go there, but they were all worried something would happen to me. Like the superintendent of the jail. But they were all worried something was going to happen to me. And I told Bradel, I'm like, I'll sign like a waiver. I'm like, I'd rather get beat up than sit here all day. If that's what happens to me, some guy I wrote about 10 years ago is in there and he wants to finally get his revenge and whatever. I can hold my own in there. and I can also run. Running is also an option.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll take my chances in there rather than the pain of isolation and being by yourself all day. It just fucking sucked.
Wow, I didn't realize that. So they were trying to protect you because of the fact that you were a journalist, or because of the fact that
high profile?
Yeah, because I'm high profile, and like I have, before Karen Reed, I wrote about so many scumbags from that. Like we had a segment called Food Stamp Friday where we would shame people selling their food stamps on Facebook, because that was a thing. People would sell their food stamps on Facebook for half price and stuff like that. So like I wrote about degenerates, ratchets, and like low life people, and like people in jail are going to know those people or are those people themselves. And so, although everybody I met in jail, besides one person, they all liked me and they all respected me because I was taking on the DA's office. But this one guy who I met, I would do my exercise in the evening in this place called the SHU, segregation unit. And I would go in there and, do work out for like an hour and then go back to my cell. But there's 10 cells there, and they were used for prisoners who had gotten in a fight that week or done something bad or got caught with alcohol or something. And so there had apparently been a fight, and there's 2 guys in there. And one guy was all banged up. His face was like all bruised and whatever. And the other guy in the other cell did it to him. And so the other guy in the other cell sees me when I walk in, and he's like, "Turtle Boy, you wrote about my girlfriend, Sarah Burke. I'm going to fucking get you," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so Sarah Burke we call her the Dedham webcam mom. In 2017, I wrote about her because she was selling her body online to various men and performing for them and doing acts. And sometimes her kids would be in the videos, like in the background. Like, yeah, I swear to God, it was so ratchet. And so I wrote about her. She was like the most ratchet individual. And I wrote about her and whatever. And then I get to jail, and this guy is in here, 7 years later, he's like, "You'll never forget what he did to Sarah Burke, the Dedham webcam mom." And he's like, I'm like, "Bro, I said, she was whoring herself. You're here defending the honor of some chick whoring herself out online to other men? Like, you're a cuck, bro." And he got, he's acting like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get you." Okay, so I get it.
What did they have in the gym there, Aiden?
Oh, that's funny.
There was no gym. I mean, it's a jail, not a prison. So it's like, they have, I think there's 4 main units there, which I didn't step foot in because that's where they live. And like, there's a basketball court area that each one of them has, and TV and lounge. You can make coffee. Hot water is one thing that they have to make coffee and stuff like that. And so I was in medical. So I was in a cell in medical. It smelled like shit. There was cameras inside the cell. Anytime you want to go to the bathroom, you know what I mean? Anytime you wanted to do anything, you were on film the entire time. And it was just isolation, and it was horrible. Like, it was cruel and unusual being in there. And so, but like they have to give you a chance to get exercise and, rec. So in the morning from 8 to 10, they would take me to this one unit, which was kind of like special prisoners, like Brian Walsh was in there. And I would go there, and they're all in their cells, and I'm outside. So they would see me, but I'm not like they couldn't touch me or anything like that, because they were worried something would happen. But sometimes they would call me over to the cells, want to talk to me, tell me about their case or whatever. They're all innocent, how it works.
Of course.
I would exercise there. I'd run every day. I would run laps around the basketball court. 17 times around was a mile. And, I had like these church shoes. Like, they were like these, like literally the worst shoes ever in jail. And, I upgraded to like some grandpa walking shoes or something like that from Marshall's with my commissary. And I would run, I'd start doing 2 miles a day, and I would up to 3 and 4. By the end, I was running 8 miles every day.
Wow.
17 times 8, whatever that is, revolutions around the basketball court, doing pull-ups. And then I would, I got in a routine. I got in great shape in jail, and I would shower, and then I would drink my coffee, and then I would go back to be in my cell for 8.5 hours a day. And then I would have evening rec in the SHU. And that's where I saw that gentleman there who had some choice words for me. But most of the guys in the SHU liked me. Like, they were big fans. And they would, like, the legend of Turtle Boy in jail was like, "Oh, Turtle Boy, yo, that's Turtle Boy. Oh, shit." I walked in there, and they'd all want, "Oh, Turtle Boy." One kid did call me over. His name was Julius Hammond Desir. And he had been in a fight. There was a big fight with these 6 young African-American men that had all fought each other, right? And they were all just getting along and they're all talking between themselves. They're in there for 23 hours a day. And I'm like, they just got in a fight? I was just asking to see how. He's like, yeah, they get over it quick. And they're just having fun. And I walk in there, and a couple of them recognize me, like, oh shit, that's Turtle Boy. And they want me to come over and talk to them. And then I went over and I talked to this one kid. The other kid called me over, Julius, and he's like, yo, you wrote about my mom. And I'm like, I did? I'm like, what? So what did I write about your mom for? And she's like, well, you said something about her when I got, charged. I'm like, what are you here for? He's like, well, they say that I shot someone at the Braintree Mall, allegedly. And then I asked and I'm like, oh, I remember that story. This kid shot and killed somebody in front of his girlfriend and a child, like in the middle of the mall, and then was like a fugitive for like several days. And his mom had something on social media in support of him or something. His mom was like elected member of a school committee or something like that. And so I wrote about it, and I told him, I'm like, I'll take it down when I get out of here. I never did, of course. But,
Did they, Aiden, in there, did they have the rolled eucalyptic towels, or did they just leave them flat in the cooler, like at Equinox?
At Equinox?
The eucalyptic towels that they have cooled after a workout in jail, are they
most people don't
presented
have
any
have
differently?
Those in New York City, we have these bougie gyms. That's what he's talking about. I don't. You probably don't know about the.
Every day I would leave my cell and I would just be like, "Can I get a towel in whites, as you call them, which is like tidy whiteies? That was the underwear in there, and like a t-shirt." And so because I knew I was going to shower in that unit because I would work out, and then whatever. So I don't really remember the towels that well to answer your question, but they dried me off.
So there comes a time though, you receive a letter from Meredith. Does she send it with a picture, or does she just describe herself?
I knew what she looked like because I'd seen she was at my arraignment a couple days prior, and I didn't really know her at all. But she sent me a really nice message on the Securus app the second day I was in there, December 28th, and it was really nice. And it was like, I was at your thing, and I was waited there for hours, but I would have waited 20 hours longer. And I just support you, and I think you're amazing, and blah 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 blah. Very sweet. And then she started, sending videos of herself, like uplifting videos every day, like, hey, handsome, keep your head up, and blah blah blah. Like, it's easy to fall in love in jail. It's very easy, very lonely.
Of course.
Like, I'm in love right now.
Here's this nice, pretty blonde girl who's like sending you like these messages, and you're like, yeah, I mean, it was like shooting a fish in a barrel for her. Like, it was just easy. And like, next thing you know, I told her after like 30 days, because we would talk, every other day, then turn into every day. And I told her, I'm like, I think I like you. And she's like, oh, I like you too. And then next thing you know, like, we were talking like 4 hours a day. Don't say, oh, because none of this shit was real. Like, none of all of this.
We get it.
Like, so it sounds not. And then by 40 days in, I was already saying, I love you. Okay. And that's not like me at all. I was literally saying, I love you. And like, we were making plans to like get a house together, and she wanted to have a baby. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, you had all these ideas, like, yeah, fuck it. Let's get a house, have a baby. Let's do all this shit. I'm still legally married, and I'm in jail because my, mistress claims that I hit her, and it's all over the news. And here I am with the third woman now talking about having a baby and getting married. Like, what am I thinking? Like, what am I thinking? It was like, it all seemed like awesome at the time. I convinced myself that like God put me in here and introduced me to Lindsay so that I would hit my bottom, and then meet this member who would come in and like completely change me. And it made sense. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense to me. And
he was 100% right.
I hadn't quite hit rock bottom yet.
I mean, it probably helped get through that time, though. I mean,
she definitely did help me get through that time. And she visited me twice a week for 45 minutes. We talked through the phone in a plexiglass, and but then when I got out, it was just different. It was like, well, now I have options. And now it's just like, oh yeah. Now I look at it, it's like, that's kind of unfair what you did. Like, I'm single for the first time, I'm on the market, and she nabbed me up when she knew I had no other options. Because I'm in jail.
Smart.
It was smart.
It was smart.
Yeah, it was
smart.
really smart.
I don't blame her for that.
No, it was really smart.
You got to play your angles.
That's
All right, next
hilarious.
question. Come on, let's get these going.
All right. So at Sinead sends $10. If Chloe pounced on John and his phone bounced out of his hand and slid across the floor, could that account for missing steps and levels?
You'd have to ask Richard Green. If Chloe pounced on John and his phone bounced out of his... See, these are the questions that used to drive me nuts, and I'd just yell at my audience, no more hypotheticals. I don't know. But I suppose anything's possible, yeah.
Well, go ahead, yell at them.
Anything is possible.
I don't want to insult your guests.
Oh, this is adorable, though. At Brenda 6461 sends $5. She says, I have it on good authority that Aiden's mom is beaming proud of him.
So
that is
sweet.
very sweet.
That was one of the good things about jail was life is going on and you don't call mom as much as you're supposed to, right? And my mom I'm the oldest of 7, and she could tell you the last day in which each of her kids called her. And she kept a running tab in her head. And when you
Of course
called,
she did.
you'd be like, it's been 12 days. Like, you can call too. Yeah, I shouldn't have to. You should call. And so, like, being in jail, I called and spoke with her every night at 8 o'clock, and my dad, I had a routine. And, I would, so afternoon recess would be in the shoe from 6:30 to 7:30. And then I would shower and come back. First call when I come back, my kids, okay? Because they're going to bed. Say goodnight to them. I told them this thing that I was like on way from work on a top secret mission or some shit like that, which I think my daughter knows is bullshit. But I said that I'd talk to them.
So cute.
And then I would hang up and I talk to my mom and dad for 15 minutes. And, then I go to sleep. I wouldn't go to sleep. Then I would call Meredith and we'd talk for like till 10 o'clock. I would be on every 15 minutes it hangs up on you. And so you got to call back. And so, the 9:45 phone call, like the last one, I'm like, this is it. And I would literally be on the phone with her until it disconnected at like 10 o'clock. So like then the mushy talk would start at like 9:58. And we'd be like, oh, I miss you and I can't wait. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Days like but it did help me get through it mentally.
Of
like,
course.
I and say that didn't mean something to me. That definitely helped. But again, when you look back, it was kind of predatory a little bit.
Sam,
Absolutely.
Corey Hopkins just said that she FOIA requested the telephone calls between the two, and we'll have them next week.
Between which
Between
two?
what two?
You're being sarcastic.
Aiden and Meredith.
You could do that. I'm surprised no one's done that. People haven't done it. You can do that,
Well, we definitely won't now.
Yeah, I don't need them. It's okay. But thank
I've heard the Mackenzie Shirilla calls. I don't know if you guys follow that one, but there's this guy, the girl that killed 2 boys in Ohio by driving like 110 miles an hour. There's this channel that FOIAs all of her jail calls, and it's the most entertaining shit I've ever heard. If you just listen to the Mackenzie Shirilla jail calls, they're so entertaining.
Yeah, I remember
What's
the
the
jail
last name?
calls even from the Adelson, from Charlie Adelson. Those were freaking great.
I love them.
Yeah, but
They're
Mackenzie Shirilla is she's so ghetto. It's spelled, her last name's Shirilla. And
How long did you date for?
I think she's in Ohio. I never met her, but she would be up my alley.
Sounds like your type.
Totally. All right, so wait, what does it say? At Loophole Lady. Hi, Loophole Lady, sends $9.99. Might I suggest all creators writing Karen Aiden content? Tiv, if they believe in this for real, no teams?
Might I suggest all creators writing Aiden Karen content? Tith, was that a word?
Tith? I think it might be. If they believe this is for real, no teams.
Titties?
I don't think so.
Titty.
If they...
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think the essence is like B1, like one. Is that what I'm here? Is that what this says?
Well, it's a good point that we all have to. Even this infighting has got to stop because you're facing something serious right now. They could take away literally every single asset. What is the homestead protection in Massachusetts like?
It's very good. They can't touch your home. So
Completely, regardless of the value?
regardless. So if there was a judgment against me, this house is off limits.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah,
Okay,
because Florida has
beautiful.
something similar. Oh, that's great then. Yeah, because there's a whole sect of law in asset protection, even if you have a judgment against you, things that you can do. If Massachusetts has that type of homestead protection, that's great. New York doesn't. Like, we only have like $25,000 worth, and that's it. And they can force the sale of your home.
But like, there's not going to be. First of all, it takes years to litigate this. I can't imagine they have the energy, the resources if they really want to do this. And if we actually go to trial over this, I'm not worried about, because a jury will decide this, and a jury is made of people, and I'm really good with people. And because all I have to do is tell the truth, and I can communicate it effectively. As a high school teacher, you teach 11th graders, try to teach them history, and keep them engaged. It's a skill, to be able to do that, because they don't give a shit about anything. They're 11th graders. So like with adults, you give me a group of 12 adults and the chance to explain myself and why I did what I did. I don't worry about it at all. I don't trust judges, but I trust juries. Even though you probably shouldn't after that first trial. But
if you get cool attorneys, Aiden, technically you're allowed to question anyone in deposition. You can actually do it as the defendant if you want.
Really?
I can question who?
Whoever you want, whoever you depose, Jen, Colin, anyone that you actually subpoena to come to deposition. If you got cool attorneys that.
There was times during the restraining order hearing, like I know my case obviously better than anyone, including my own lawyer. So like, and the Meredith stuff was very convoluted and whatever, and I knew she would lie because I know her. And so like there were times when I wanted to be like, "Yo, Brady, I got this one." But I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
But you're saying that you actually could ask questions if you're in a defamation. Is that true?
It's true, but I doubt his attorneys would allow him. But I said if they're cool, maybe let him ask a few questions to one particular person if he wanted to.
It is interesting, right? Because who's going to know the case? No attorney that you hire is going to know the case the way that you will.
Right.
Not this.
Well, Alan Jackson knows it.
Alan Jackson. Yes.
He's the gold standard when it comes to that, because that guy knows Karen's case just as well as Karen does.
Definitely.
Which is like, when I think when I first hired Bradel and he came on and he didn't know the answer to something at like the first hearing because I just hired him, and people were like, "Oh, this guy sucks. Get rid of him." Because we're so used to Alan Jackson, and it's like, give him time. He's figured it out. Like they take. There's a lot to catch up on.
Oh my God, yeah, just more than I think you're going to. I mean, the fact that because I'm still in the evidence. This last week, I went and looked at like a 10 minutes, literally, I think 11 minutes of Brian Higgins' testimony. And there's things in there, lies in there that I have never heard, Like, for example, when he details how he walked into the house. So the question Lally asks is, who's hanging out in the house? Like, who's there? I think it's who's there. I'm sorry. Where were you? Where were you hanging out? Okay. He answers it by detailing how he walks into the house, and he says, "Well, there's the front door with the steps, there's the garage, and then there's what I would call the breezeway door." And he describes going into the breezeway door, and he describes it opening up into the kitchen. And then he starts talking about the flanked by one, maybe two females, right, which we've all heard. The only problem with his very specific, nuanced, detailed account is that is not the door to the kitchen, it's a door to the family room, right?
Yeah, the side one is, yeah.
Right. But I've never realized, never caught it before.
Yeah. It's like little stuff like that.
Stuff like that. It happens every time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I remember back in 2023 when I was kind of the only game in town covering this. It's like, I was doing research and breaking stories and stuff like that. Now there's really no need. It's like the story's taking a life on its own. People notice shit like that I didn't notice. That, you know what I mean? It's just like it's many
too much
eyes on this, man. There's so many eyes on it. I'm sure everything I say here tonight is gonna get like dissected and all that stuff. And to be very clear, I just want to reiterate once again, I got nothing but love, for Karen Reed. It's not exactly a secret that David's not around anymore. You know what I mean? And I think it's none of my, I didn't ask any more details. I don't know any more details about that. I don't want to know. That's between them. I have respect for both of them, and I wish them nothing but the best.
Are they still not talking?
I have no idea. Because I haven't talked to Karen, and so I have no idea. And I wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask her that. I wouldn't ask David that. It's none of my business. It's no one's business.
Right.
Totally. Makes sense. Bite My Bit sends $5, asks Aiden, are you going to get Jen's polygraph and Colin's phone records? What else? It's a good question.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, that's definitely one of the things. Bettero didn't even know about the polygraph comment he's like, what better? And I'm like, oh yeah, that was Canton cover up, like part 9 or something like that. And, go back. He had no idea. He's like, well, that's discoverable. Like,
I don't think I knew that either. Wait a minute.
I didn't know it
either. She took a polygraph?
No, I don't think she did. Reddington came out like as part of like this whole protecting her image thing and said that she passed the polygraph. And as it turns out, that is like Reddington's go-to move. He has done this multiple times before with clients, claimed that they've passed polygraphs, and like he waves a piece of paper. You don't get to see what's on the paper, but he's like, passed the polygraph. And so we're going to ask for that, definitely. And we'll find out if he was just bullshitting, because if she did take a polygraph, that's 1,000% discoverable.
Aiden, of the House defendants, who was the first to hire an attorney?
Good question. To my knowledge, I suppose it was Higgins, right? Like within a day or two, Higgins said, "Oh, don't talk to me." It was like the guys at, but then that's not his attorney. That didn't become his long-term attorney. And I know that they definitely started hiring them. Like I know that Greg Henning was hired right when the grand jury started visit. When the FBI started showing up on April 10th, 2023, that's when Greg Henning got a call. That's when Joe Krowski got a call. For Colin, and because they're going to need representation.
So you tell me, of the 1 out of 10 potential people that could have killed John O'Keefe, one of them hired an attorney within a few days after he died.
Yes, he did. That would be Brian Higgins, and he showed selective, text messages with Karen, and wanted that out there almost. But yeah, I mean, and the reason I think Karen. She never really talked about Higgins with me, and it's kind of, if I'm honest about it, I'm like, it was a little bit deceptive. I get it. She's embarrassed of it. Wouldn't you be? But, at the same time, it's like, but that's kind of a big piece of the puzzle there, she always believed that Higgins was involved in staging John's body. He's sure of that because he went to the police station or whatever, but she always believed it was Brian and Colin that did it. You'd have to ask her why she believes that and not Higgins. I don't know if she still believes that or whatever, but he wasn't even brought up at the first trial about his involvement in the killing. But yeah, it's like when you're right. It makes the most sense. The waterfall video, of course he's going to have. But what doesn't make sense is when this all started going down and then he stops returning their phone calls. Kevin Albert texts him like, bro, everyone's worried about you. You're being shady, right? If he was the one who did it and it was, wouldn't they throw him under the bus? Like, fuck this guy. We're right because of this guy. Fuck him. Like this guy's got us in this shit to begin with. Why are we protecting this guy? Which only further makes me believe that it was him and various McAlberts. It had to be.
Unless only Brian Albert was the only one that knew. That was always my hypothesis right now, and could potentially be that he only told Brian Albert.
Told him what?
No, it doesn't.
Help me! I just killed John. We have to figure out what to do with him.
How does something like that happen in a house where Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel are inside and they don't know about it?
I don't think it did. See, Aiden, that's not my hypothesis that it didn't happen.
He's wrong,
in
though.
front of
It's okay. We don't need to go into this. He thinks outside.
Yeah, outside their view.
Okay, outside their view.
Yeah.
All right.
We can get stuck here for a very long time. At Jackie, Hi Jackie, this is my sister. Hi Jackie, she sends $4.99. Sam knows the Mackenzie case. I sent her the videos of the car crashing into the side of that building at full throttle, going 100 miles per hour. Turtle Boy says hi. She says hi. Hi.
Actually, her sister sent me. Turtle Boy. Do you know any black men for me? Jackie wants to know. Her sister.
Stop. He's crazy. I don't know why he thinks that my sister's, not an
she
equal
prefers
opportunity.
black guys.
That's okay.
That's not true. I don't think that's true. But anyway, at Jody _617 sends $5. Says, is TV Daily News protected? How would you do that? Vince, should it be an LLC?
No, this is interesting. You don't have to answer it, but they only sued you privately. There's no entities. Obviously, they can amend it if they wanted to.
Well, yeah. So I used to be incorporated as an LLC. Up until around 2020, I dissolved it because in Massachusetts, I get sued so much. I've been sued so many times.
Right.
And most of these plaintiffs are ridiculous and stupid, and the lawsuits are a joke. Okay. And I could defend myself with some of these lawsuits because they're so bad, but you can't if you have an LLC. An LLC in Massachusetts, the law says you must hire counsel. And so I was forced to pay all these legal fees for these stupid lawsuits that have no chance of succeeding that I could do myself. So I literally dissolved the LLC because the existence of the LLC was costing me money as opposed to protecting my money. It's supposed to do.
So,
well, according to the complaint, you make $50 million a month, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, they cite that Boston Magazine article where they added up all the revenue that's coming in. And I suppose if you added up revenue, that's what it would total to. But there's this things called expenses when you're running a business, hosting, legal fees. Like,
of course,
that's very expensive. And so, like, yes, if I just got to keep all the money, I'd be fucking killing it. But unfortunately, I don't.
No, your legal fees have got to be outrageous. I mean, they just have to be, right?
I paid more than Karen Reed to defend myself. Karen Reed, from what she told me, was $200, $200 for each. $200 for Alan's firm, $200 for David. So that adds up to $400. Obviously, the experts and everything else was tremendously expensive, and that's where the real money came in. She said that Richard Green, she's paid him over $1 million. Yeah,
that's insane.
Like, fucking insane. Like Richard Green took them to the cleaners. Like he did so much work though. Not took them to the cleaners, but like did so much work. I mean, he's working hourly. He's not working on a flat fee like Alan and David are.
Wow, that's how expensive these guys are.
I believe it was $1 million. Don't hold me to that, but it was a big number. Whatever Richard Green, because Richard Green is doing all. I mean, he did the most important work to figure this all out, and he had to fly up here and do this. It's like, don't hold me to that, but I don't know what his hourly rate is. Maybe
his food bill alone was about $500,000. They said
maybe $1 million. It might have been less than that, but it was high.
Where'd that money come from, Aiden?
Well, it came from the gift center.
It came from all of us.
We raised from her. I mean, that's where it came in because. David and Alan were working basically for free. I mean, that's a discount, $200,000 to do all that work and whatever. And so
for two trials,
yeah. And Bob did it for free. And so like they did a tremendous amount of work, but it was the experts. The experts aren't working on discount, And so that's with me. It's like I've paid significantly more than that in legal fees, but I have not had to pay experts, obviously, like she has yet. I've had a private investigator. There's been a couple experts here and there, but for the most part, I haven't had her, fees when it comes to experts and stuff like that.
Wow, that's crazy. That is insane.
So your attorneys aren't giving you a discount at all because of the notoriety?
I'm not going to talk about what I paid my lawyer. It's kind of out there. Meredith put what I paid.
Oh, what did she say?
Well, she put it out. She put like an accounting of how much I paid my lawyers out there. But she got the number right for Bradle, but she got it wrong for Betterow. And
how much was it for Bradle?
Bradle I paid $225 to.
Okay.
And so that's out there, But it was initially $125, and then I got arrested again and went to jail, and it went up. Okay.
Okay.
JC involved and all sorts of shit. And so, like, whatever. I don't mind saying that because it's out there anyway, and I just want to let people know that, like, this is like I actually need the money.
It's not a joke. Yeah.
And and if you were to add up the hours that he was working, it would be significantly more than $225. Like that shit goes quick with hourly rates and shit like that. So it's worth it. That's actually a significant discount. And so I'm not going to get into what I paid Betterow, but he's world class. Let's just put it that way. And he's a Manhattan attorney. And you could probably imagine what his hourly rate is, but I'm not going to get into the fee structure with that, but he's worth every penny. There's no amount I wouldn't pay for Mark Betterow to be my attorney. Let's put it that way.
I would agree with you there for sure.
You had asked about how Jen's attorneys are getting paid. Most likely it is a contingency case. They probably would take the risk. If I was in their situation, I would take that risk as an attorney, suing you too, potentially with the money. But I know that's going to be...
For the notoriety?
That, and there's a potential winning. There is.
Yes, but to get win what? Like Karen.
Win what?
She doesn't own property. She has no assets.
But she will eventually. She's going to be in the millions once she settles all these cases. Not these cases, the other ones. She's going to be fine, and a judgment lasts virtually forever.
It's a pretty big gamble on their part.
Yeah, it is. But that's our business.
Gonna do and like be sure. Like you better be sure you're gonna win. I don't see it happening. To be honest with you, it's like. You have to convince a jury that Jennifer McCabe is a sweet, innocent person. Good luck.
Yeah, well, look, hopefully you have the attorneys and you can win it on the papers, even after depositions, even after your motion to dismiss. So that's why you need to have a good team in place to really beat this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me read this. At Chloe, the Canton Killer sends $10. Uncle Turtle Boy, your doc is going to be the best documentary ever. Will there be a part 2? Can't wait. Love you, the Cali twins.
Yeah, they say it's going to be a 5 or 6 episode documentary that's in the works. They just finished up. So the company with Compelling Pictures It's been a little sidetracked, the doc. We were trying to get Karen on board. I don't know if she's going to be on or not. I have no idea the negotiations that are, but either way, they recently they were in Ireland doing a Emily Blunt movie. I didn't even know who that was till they told me, but I guess she's a big shot. And then they were doing the boy band documentary, Boy Band Inc. I think it's called, or Boy Band Confidential. That was their other doc that they were just working on. It's on HBO Max now. But
who is that? Who's the boy band?
NSYNC and I want to say the Backstreet Boys. Like they do on them, and like they're all in it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna check it out. But that's basically been the project that they were finishing up before focusing on mine. They said so. Next, we'll see.
Yeah, those are meaningless. Yours should be on the front burner here. Mm-hmm. When do they expect it to come out?
Of course.
By the end of the year, he said. That's what he's hoping. You got to get a buyer first. You got to, so first you make a sizzle, which is like a reel.
I got it.
Yeah.
Pitch it to these various whatever, and they bid on it. And obviously the project is worth more to them if Karen Reed is involved in it. But our sell is going to be that, like, it's the Turtle Boy story. You know what I mean? It's like, this is we've seen the Karen Reed story through Karen Reed's eyes in Body in the Snow. We haven't seen it through Turtle Boy's eyes, like how it came to be, which is really more like her story is riveting and fantastic and interesting, but so is mine. And like the difference between her and I was that I chose to be here. Like Karen Reed didn't have a choice. She was framed for murder she didn't commit, whereas like I said, sign me up for this. And I'm like, I wanted to write this story. I wanted to talk about this, and here we are.
That's very true. I just wanted to answer this question. I realized that we didn't answer it. For Officer Twat Katie says, I just got here. She was asking, can you have the same attorney? And I think we answered it. The question was, you can, but you won't.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. We're not going to have the same attorney. I feel confident in saying that.
Yeah. I think that's definitely.
We have different allegations against this, right?
Yeah. Yes. And also different interests, I think.
Yeah, but there is no world in which I can. A lot of people are like, oh, they're going to throw each other under the bus. There's no world in which I can help myself by throwing Karen Reed under the bus and vice versa. That path doesn't exist. So that's not anything that's going to happen, nor would I allow it to happen. I would never throw Karen Reed under the bus to protect themselves from a bunch of people who I believe are responsible for the murder of John O'Keefe. I would never do that.
Give us again where we can donate. I know you said it a minute ago and I wrote it down and then I lost it.
Defendingthetruth.org.
Stop saying that.
I hate saying this, but it's freekarenreed.org. Or you could just Google Turtle Boy Give Send Go, and it comes up that somebody has redirected and bought that domain. It was not me. I want to be very clear. It was not me.
That's
how does that Give Send Go work in terms of once the money's in there? How do you actually get it?
You can deposit. You can take it out whenever you want, bits and pieces. So
it's like an account.
Yeah, to go with links to my bank account, my business bank account. So
that is easy.
And then I pay the attorneys on my own.
Mm-hmm. Cynthia Mark says, dream movie cast so far: Mr. Yannetti, Ben Affleck, Mr. Jackson, Matt Damon, Aidan Kearney, Mark Wahlberg, and Karen Anna Kendrick. I'm okay with that.
Who's the most famous person you met? We saw you with one of them, but is there anyone else more?
I met Ben Affleck this summer.
Yeah, saw that. Anyone else?
Where did you meet him? Like at a baseball game or something?
No, I was just getting pizza, and he was in Truro. So I was on vacation, and it's kind of funny that I walked into the pizza shop. Apparently, Ben Affleck's mother, he bought his mother a house in Truro. Truro's the second to last town on the Cape, so it's like it's nice, it's distant, it's whatever. So I go there every summer. I love Truro, and I go to get a pizza, and I'm standing there with my kids, and this guy walks by. I'm like, is that Ben Affleck? Like what? No. I'm like, you look, and he didn't look how I was imagining look. So I went over to him and I'm like, I asked my kids, is that Ben Affleck? And they go, who's Ben Affleck? I'm like, okay. So I go over to Ben Affleck and I'm like, are you Ben Affleck? He said, yeah. Oh, nice to meet you. My name is Aidan Kearney. They call me Turtle Boy. I kind of threw it out there, like see if that rang a bell. And he said he acted like he knew who he was, but it was kind of one of those things where it's like I think he was just being polite.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not convinced. He wasn't seem like, oh shit, it wasn't anything like that. I was like, oh yeah, I think I heard of you. Yeah. I covered the Karen Reed case extensively, and then his eyes lit up. Then he was like, oh, you need a different interest in that. And I'm like, yeah. So I told him about my deal with Compelling, and whatever, and kind of name dropped a little bit. He knew some of the names, and because it would obviously be awesome to have been at. But it's funny because I posted the pic. It was a completely innocuous, random meeting. Like I was just getting pizza, and so. But then I took a picture and I posted on social media, and I just said, "Hang out with my homies." That's all I said. And the Boston Globe's got a headline article about like, is Turtle Boy working on a project?
Oh my God, stop it.
And I just let him run with it. I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. Like, you know what I mean? And it was we were just getting pizza. But it was nice. I met him, we had a nice conversation.
That is pretty funny.
Is he hotter in person?
No, he's less attractive. But he was just hanging out with his kids. He had Jennifer Garner's kids were there with him. And he's got 3. And there was I guess this was like right after he broke up with J-Lo. I didn't even know there was
much time.
Yeah, so he's just getting away from J-Lo, running away to Truro, hanging out with the kids. And,
that's cute. That is very funny. Good story. All right, let me make sure that we got everybody here because I have kind of a hard stop right around 3 o'clock, and we are approaching 3 o'clock. Okay. At Serenity, RPH 25 sends $9.99. If you followed the Maya case, you'd have heard about the loans these plaintiffs get involved in to fund proceeds. Oh my God, it ended disastrously. Vince, can you discuss? So actually, you guys, this is going to sound crazy, but I dated somebody years ago. I was a child. Just let me put it this way before I say this. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I was a bartender. He just came to the bar, and our first date was in Las Vegas. Again, I was a child. This was a long time ago.
Go ahead.
And it turned out that he was one of those companies. He was a law funder. And so these companies that if you know you're about to be awarded a big lawsuit, right, then you can go to one of these companies. They'll look at your case. If they think you have a good chance of winning, they'll roll the dice and they will give you a loan on the winnings that you're going to get eventually. And he was the funder, and he had a friend upstairs who was the lawyer. And eventually they had to pay $2 million back in a legal case. One of them, I think, went to jail over it because he was being tipped off to these cases. So it was like, right, it was bad. But so I'm aware of these types of loans, and I think that's what this case is about. Is that right?
No, potentially. They are legitimate. We've done them before. They don't technically loan you money. They give you the money, and they can charge more than usury rates. So they can charge 50%, 100%. However, if you don't recover anything, then you don't have to pay it back. That's how they get around the usury laws, which are the caps on interest rates that you have to pay. So absolutely, they could potentially be funded by something like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So wait, you're saying that who could be funded on something like this?
The McCabe's. Potentially. And I think maybe they're getting this case on contingency or partial contingency, but the McCabe's attorney's in Aiden's case for defamation.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that, but that's an interesting idea that you could be getting the money in a situation where somebody's taking the risk on the possibility of a payout. That's an interesting. Okay, well, that ended up being a really helpful question. Thanks, Serenity, RPH 25. Aiden, I want to say just a huge thank you to you for being here with us. We certainly did not expect you to be able to be here with us for so long. So thank you so much for sitting here and spending the whole show with us.
Time flies.
What else you got to do? Hey,
it really does.
I love watching you paranoid about people driving by your house. Were any of those people the process server for this lawsuit?
No, they went to my ex-wife's house, actually. That's where they just dropped it off. So I wasn't actually given it in hand. So they dropped it off there. But I was paranoid one time. This lady drives by during my bus stop live. I'm like, what the hell was that? And I take a picture of her. And I got her license plate. We had it run. And I looked the woman up. And she works for the town assessor. So I called the town assessor's office. And they're like, yeah, sometimes she was probably just like taking pictures. We do that sometimes when somebody new buys a house. So I'm like, okay, but just making sure, just making sure.
Okay.
It's okay.
That's cool that you could do that, though.
Yeah. What, run a license plate?
Yeah. Be able to tell. Yeah. Just in case, right? Because you never know.
Well, have you purchased blinds yet?
No, they came this morning and they measured it. And so they're having Home Depot is going to be calling me. Specialty made, it's going to be dope. Blinds are expensive, like $1,000 for blinds.
I know they're really expensive. They are nice ones. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sure you put the blinds up because we know you need it.
All right, Aiden. Well, thank you very much for stopping by here.
Thank you, Aiden. We so appreciate it. Let us know about the fundraiser, and of course, be there. Anything we can do to help. So,
Of course.
thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye. And
Well,
that's
that was great.
the Aidan Kearney. That was so wonderful of him to be willing to stay with us for a couple hours. That was really nice. I didn't expect that at all. Any thoughts before we go about what Mr. Aiden said?
He's facing a really tough time because he has to spend all this money on the legal defense. It's critical, though. Now we have someone that can access documents and information that we never were able to, meaning that there's so much more power he has now. I think it's going to backfire on them tremendously once he gets the attorneys involved. And I know that there are attorneys in this community that are really good looking, really blonde, and really into this case that can help significantly on the papers, meaning like there are people in this community. We have to come together now. We have to put all this other bullshit, and this goes to Karen Reed too. You guys are in this together. There's a conspiracy case, technically, civilly. So it's time everyone needs to put this aside, and this is going to help me privately because I'm trying to solve this goddamn case, and now we can get access to Brian Higgins' information that we have not had access to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. 100%. I just want to say I want to go through some folks here and just honor you guys. Miss Holmes for our 9-month anniversary. Happy anniversary to us. Ms. Liz Rose sends $1.99. Thank you for you. Sam Analysis. Hi, Sunny. She says hi back. Actually, she's sleeping. Sherry D. Hi, Sherry. Wasn't the ME called Whack Job 2? Didn't MSP say, like, I should have gone down there during the autopsy? Reason the ME sent John's brain. Yeah, I was going to bring that up, actually, to Dr. Stonebridge. I was going to bring that up earlier, 100%. Because she didn't do what they wanted, right? The Emmy, she didn't do what they wanted. And she knew. I mean, we don't have to go into it now, but some of her testimony was pretty telling. She has her eyes closed for long chunks of it during cross, right? So your dad's favorite mom sends $4.99, a.k.a. Mackenzie Alex Jones defaulted on the complaint. He didn't even go to trial. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I am
I've
super
heard that.
glad. I didn't know that. Oh, we've got so many memberships. Yay. Ms. C.S. sends gifted 5 memberships. You guys are amazing. Blessed Mama. Yay. Member for 5 months. Samantha, do we ever get an explanation for why his SUV parked by the flagpole like Lucky said? No. We have no idea. Right? I mean, no effing idea. Dr. Jen Toxic. Happy anniversary, Dr. Jen Toxic. Thank you so much for being here. NOLA CPA sends, whoa, $49.99. Thank you so much, NOLA CPA. Thank you, Sam and Vince, for continuing the fight for justice for Officer John O'Keefe. Very admirable. Well, we appreciate you so much, and thank you guys for being here because, yeah, I mean, we're in it to win it, right? We are all in it to win it. We are all very much on the same team, and we'll fight as hard as we can. And like you said, we have there's going to be a lot of information coming, and Aiden already has a bunch of it with the discovery that he has that we don't have, we're not privy to. But there's going to be a lot more coming, and it's going to be really interesting to watch all of this new stuff start to unfold. At Got a Bad Feeling since 1999. I got a bad feeling again. Thank you, Sam, Vince, and Aiden, for all continuing to fight for the truth. Love all 3 of you. We love you too. Thank you so much. Got a bad feeling. I just want to make sure that I am getting to everybody. Helena, sends a super sticker. I wish I knew where that was. Vince, you know where that is? Thank you so much.
No.
At the Helena, I want to just also shout out to Bite My Bits because I know that they donated memberships, and I saw it happen, and I just want to remember it before I forget. Thank you guys so much for donating memberships. It's amazing. So appreciate it. And let me just make sure I get everybody. I want to make sure I get every single one of you. Otto 1630 sends $25. Great interview. Thanks. Thank you so much, Otto. We so appreciate you. We so appreciate all of you. And, anything that we can all do to help Aiden, we absolutely will. You can give to the Give, Send, Go if you want to. Just Google Turtle Boy Give, Send, Go. And that goes directly to him. I think his Cash App is Is it Dr. Turtleboy? I think it is. But I'm not 100% on that. We have to double check to make sure. Member for 5 months, Jenny Lulu says, so happy to be here with you all. You got this, Aiden. We're rooting for you and Karen both. Stay strong and kick ass. Power to FKR and free Turtleboy. For sure. Did anyone ever check her address? Oh, Suzette, I was going to say this earlier, but I knew the answer was no. So I didn't ask him, but no, because how would you do that? I don't know how we would do that. How do you do that retrospectively, right? Could you do that? I don't know how you would do it retrospectively.
Hey, but I'm more excited quickly that the Asian owner is willing to monetize this. That means they're the exact opposite of people that don't want to be involved at all. I'm going to have my Asian friend, I have one, Miss Judy, contact her today. They love money, Miss Judy, so I'm going to have her see what we can work out, maybe even
I tried to, just so you know, I mean, we could probably get it from Aiden, but I tried to find them, and they're not, like, she's not super easy to find. So, I mean, I didn't
not in the
spend
community,
hours on
darling.
it. It's true. Maybe she can help
Miss
us.
Judy.
I don't know. Miss Judy can help us. Romy in MA became a YouTube member. Thank you so much. At Romy in Massachusetts. I'm assuming MA is Massachusetts, right? I'm going. I'm going. Oh, Denise, my amazing moderator, Denise, who's the absolute best. You guys know how awesome Denise is. Denise, we thank you forever. There's never enough thanks in the world to thank Denise for being the greatest moderator truly the world has ever seen. And she gifted 5 I Don't Belong Here memberships. Thank you so much, Denise. You are truly amazing. Look at this one. Did I read this? Stay away from them turtle traps. Lawns in order since $2. I saw this. I don't know if I read it out loud. EC Cave Cod became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, EC Cave Cod, for being a member. Oh, this one's even more sweet. Brenda sent $5. She said, I will always believe Aiden's mom is up there beaming proud for many reasons, among them the beaming, confident smiles of well-loved children. I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. Cheryl Colvin, 7473, became a member. Welcome, Cheryl. We're super excited to have you. For all the new members, you guys don't forget to look for the 2 courses that you now have access to. You can find them on the community wall, or you can find them in the membership benefits, but don't forget to look at them. They're resources that you need to take advantage of, because I've poured my heart and soul, everything I know in there about mental health, about substance use disorders. So if you know anybody or you just curious, check those things out. The resources are incredible. Okay, Vince, I think we got to everyone. What a day, huh? This has been
what a day. This is the best show so far. Very
I
good.
guess so.
Got a lot of new information, good information. Loved it. Great job.
I need some time to sit with all of what we just learned, I think. We got a lot. There's a lot. Just like I need to sit with it all. But, and thanks once again to Aiden for being here with us. Vince, I guess I will see you Monday. And finally, Monday, we will officially be doing phone calls. No, really, though, we really, really will. Wait, we've got 2 more people I have to honor. At 1977, Felicia became a member. Thank you so much for being a member, Felicia. And finally, at Jalove3268 sends $2. Thank you, Jalove. We so appreciate your support. Next week, phones. We will be taking phone calls, hopefully. So that is very exciting.
Yes.
And
all right, do your thing, girl. We will be back next week. There's so much I want to go back and watch, see everything that we went there.
Goodbye, Vince. Goodbye, Vince. There he goes. Everybody, thank you for being here. I love you guys. I really do. We appreciate you so much. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we will see you Wednesday at 7 p.m. New Wednesday night live time, 7 p.m. Wednesday. Don't miss it.
It is the defense counselor's duty to protect the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state. Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
This is me reminding you to like this video, comment, subscribe, like this video.